Delta Force is coming to consoles on August 19th, and we are incredibly excited to welcome players to the latest installment of the legendary shooter franchise.
Players can expect two highly dynamic and action-packed modes in Delta Force Warfare and Operations. Warfare is our tribute to previous Delta Force titles, offering players a dynamic roster of maps to enjoy all-out war experiences with vehicle play and counter, infantry combat, and more. Operations puts the player in the boots of an elite Delta Force in a modern extraction shooter game. Players can play solo or team up while experiencing its thrilling PvE moments. We're also bringing the faithfully rebooted Black Hawk Down campaign to console gamers in the format of free DLC to relive the 1993 battle.
Here at Virtuos, we worked closely with Team Jade to materialize their vision of Delta Force on consoles. Being a highly dynamic shooter game, frame rate consistency is extremely important for Delta Force, and we have spent tons of efforts to ensure that the game enjoys a stable 60 frames per second, with almost no frame rate drops. With adaptive trigger support, every shot in the game will feel even more impactful, satisfying, giving players an even more immersive experience. We also gave Xbox Series S some additional love, so despite its highly portable size, Series S players will also get the same frame rate treatment.
To ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience for console players, we've completely overhauled Delta Force's interface. We added focus-based navigation and quick access buttons, so players can easily perform all frequent in-game actions. For Operations, we also introduced auto-inventory sorting when bleeding, making the experience much more convenient.
As for input, we created a fully remappable control system with multiple presets, added sensitivity and dead zone settings, and fine-tuned haptics for weapons, vehicles, and abilities. All of this is designed to ensure the controls feel smooth and intuitive, giving players a great gameplay experience.
We can't wait for console players around the world to jump in and experience everything Delta Force has to offer. Grab your controller, squad up, and play for free on August 19th.
Threatening the bright future of Asara. For too long they have gone unchallenged, and they have infested the very core of our society. We must drive these rats out. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for judgment.
Let me detect first.
Welcome to the asylum! From madness to freedom!
Stay on high alert. Don't let Havoc's lackeys escape.
Greetings, operators. Welcome to the Delta Force Break Season's mid-season update. Get ready to feel the beat. The Delta Force Alan Walker collab event is about to kick off. Mark your calendars for August 8th. Operators can visit the Delta Force official website, go to the Service Center tab, and enter the Redemption Center page. Enter the CD key to claim the PTR 32 Old Habits weapon appearance, as well as 8 armament vouchers. Starting August 9th, operators can also easily obtain it by jumping into activities on Twitch drops and other community platforms. From August 8th to September 22nd, we're rolling out the Double Beats Pass. Play Delta Force Operations Mode or rack up Warfare matches to earn awesome Alan Walker collab rewards for free. This includes the epic firearm appearance, QJB 201 Old Habits, and 40 armament vouchers. On August 8th, 3 legendary weapon appearance bundles will drop: Fur Trapper, Order Up, and Alternating Current. Once the event goes live, new missions will pop up every 11 days. Complete a set of missions and you can pick one of these bundles for free, up to 2 bundles total. From August 8th to August 21st, every hazard operation match will have a 100% drop rate for 2 collab airdrop crates. Crack them open for a shot at surprise treasure maps. Complete the related event missions to claim 10 armament vouchers. Don't forget about Warfare. New challenge missions will refresh weekly, offering a ton of rewards, including the epic vehicle appearance, Tank Blaze. From August 8th to August 14th, your weekly supplies for hazard operations are getting a major boost. They'll be doubled. That means you can earn a total of 6 standard gear tickets and 2 elite gear tickets. As for Warfare's weekly supplies, the first phase is loaded with goodies. You'll get 2 premium weapon EXP tokens, 4 intermediate weapon EXP tokens, and 4 Warfare 2X EXP cards, 1 match. But wait, there's more. Log in daily from August 8th to August 10th to claim an extra 4 2X merit cards, 1 match each day. Don't miss out. This is your chance to climb those ranks faster. Get ready. The KC-17 assault rifle is almost here. You'll be able to unlock its use and production by completing missions in the upcoming new weapon launch event. This August, get ready for the treasure hunt event. Grab your treasure maps and prepare to dig for some serious loot. Once the event kicks off, you'll have a chance to find treasure maps for your current location while searching in hazard operations. Just follow the map's clues to unearth treasures and claim your rewards. During the treasure hunt event, make sure to log in daily to claim a lucky pack. Here's hoping you pull some fantastic red items and enjoy a streak of good luck. This season is already halfway over, but the second half has more to offer. First up, new Arc Knights collab content will drop after the update. The treasure store is getting a refresh too, with rewards like the weapon appearance M4A1 Amiya, which you can obtain by exchanging LMD earned from event participation. Following that, on August 15th, the Penguin Logistics Supplies event launches. Play both modes to rack up milestone points and exchange them for armament vouchers, LMD, spray paint, calling cards, charm Amiya, and a host of other rewards. From August 8th to September 6th, dive into special event missions to unlock collab puzzle pieces. Collect them to earn a variety of awesome collab rewards. And here's some exciting news. Delta Force is hitting console platforms on August 19th. To mark this huge milestone, we're rolling out even more perks. With the console launch, operators can unlock the Skynet series, console-exclusive weapon appearances, by participating in special events. Log in during the event period, and you'll also be able to unlock previously released operators to ensure they don't fall behind. New recruit supplies are also available exclusively on console, offering limited edition appearances and a generous amount of growth items to help you gear up fast and dive into the action. Simply log in on your console platform to claim an exclusive weapon appearance, no strings attached. And don't miss out on our console membership rewards. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Perks players will enjoy even more bonuses. Plus, the Shiba Force Lucky Draw also drops in-game. This Lucky Draw offers 3 firearm appearances, along with charms, avatars, calling cards, and other cool personalization items. You'll be able to earn them by participating in Lucky Draws. That wraps up the main mid-season update content for the break season. Have a blast, operators.
Some fear the storm. Others stand aside. But I choose to become the storm.
Warning, liquid nitrogen fill complete.
Some people want to run rampant, mutating Asara. But my forces will make sure they don't come back. We'll settle the score. Asara is ours.
Good evening. Welcome into the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers. It's North America Regional Finals time. I'm really excited to be back with you. My name's Goat. If you haven't seen me in these broadcasts, where the heck you been? We've been having a dang good time here with the Delta Force Esports. And right now, it all comes down to this. Qualifiers leading up to this stage. Only 2 teams from North America will join some of our European squads and some of our other regions with a Delta Force Invitational on land in China. This is going to be a heck of a show. I got to bring in Spider Tiff yet again. Tiff, we had a short break between these 2 broadcasts, but welcome back to this one as North America is about to be underway. I'm sure you're excited about another banger event.
Yeah, I really am, especially after watching EU and kind of stamping those 2 teams that were going to advance on to China. I can't wait to see who's going to join them. I'm ready. Let's get some chaos going, right?
Chaos, action, who knows, hyper aggressive gameplay. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens because anything can happen, all right? It's regional finals. All the teams battled their way here. Let's talk about how they got here in the path forward because it was a grueling process. Of course, we started with open qualifiers. Our teams signed up and then worked their way through through open qualifiers, with the top 10 teams are advancing to regional semifinals. The regional semifinals, you all saw them last week, or at least one of them. Group A was on broadcast, and Tiff and Vivid did a great job casting over that gameplay to bring 2 teams from that group to the finals today. The top 5 overall, though, from those groups of regional semifinals did make it to today. So it was top 2 from Group A, top 2 from Group B, and then the next highest team overall. So now we have the 5 teams from regional semifinals competing today for regional finals. However, there is one invited team. We will talk about that in a little bit, but they came from the DFEI, the Delta Force Elite Invitational, won that event and earned their spot here as well. That's going to make up all 6 of our teams. The top 2 today, like I just said, are making LAN in September in China, playing for $500,000 against the other 10 teams from the 8 different regions around the globe. The World Championships, the Delta Force Invitational. You're not going to want to miss that as well. But we got to get 2 more teams to LAN to join our 2 EU teams that just got there only a couple hours ago. But Tiff, talk to me about the match rules. Maybe there's some folks just tuning in. Maybe their favorite player streamer competing in this. Talk to me about what people can expect.
Yeah, of course. If you missed those regional semifinals last weekend, then this is going to be completely new to you. But it's been that really fun double MandelBricks, so that double brick format. At the very beginning, though, every player is going to start with that 1 million Technic alloy to go ahead and build their ideal loadout. And then from there, every kill that they obtain each and every time they drop into a match throughout our 6-game series, if we make it to 6. We'll touch on that in a moment. However, if you die, you do lose all of your gear, very similar to those public formats. So just, you know, kill people, don't die, win the game, I guess. Easier said than done. But the ideal behind this is that the first team to capture 2 MandelBricks win, and those MandelBricks are only going to spawn in the 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th matches. So ideally, this could end on game 4 if a team is absolutely flawless. If not, we are guaranteed to have a 6-game series unless, someone captures 2 by match number 5, then we'll end in 5 as well.
Right.
The real caveat, though, that I think is super fun, Goj, that we've been having a lot of fun talking about is that operators can only be used twice. So if, let's say, you drop into match number 1 and for some reason you want to run Nox and 2 Senevas, great. Well, then you can't use Seneva throughout the entirety of the tournament.
Yeah, a great breakdown and super important. Only twice can an operator be used between your entire team. Insane. We've got a little bit of pricing on the line as well today, though. $4,000 for the team in first and $3,000 for the team in second. So a majority of our pricing at the top of our leaderboard, but those top 2 spots, again, are the ones that make LAN. Now, third gets a little extra over their competition, $1,000 if you get 3rd place, and then $500 all the way down 4th, 5th, and 6th. So you're making something just making it to this stage, which is exciting. But of course, you want to be top 2, not only for the ticket to LAN, but also for the $7,000 roughly that's spread between these top 2 places. So a lot of money on the line. Big tickets on the line, literally plane tickets and tickets to LAN. Really excited to see who comes out on top. And speaking of who, we got to talk teams, because yes, we had 5 teams come from the semifinals, 1 team invited. I mean, Tiff, we got some recognizable names here, some names that folks at home probably know if you've been watching these competitions. But I have to draw our attention to the one quote-unquote asterisk invited team, the team that earned their spot in a different competition in the Delta Force Elite Invitational. Jacked, tan, and handsome, aka Team Nowhere, with Nowhere, Sing Song, and Equal Plays. Watch out for this trio, Tiff. Gonna be really fun to see what they can do in this competition. And I think we've even got some replays of what happened in that competition last time that you and I were casting.
Oh, I'm so ready for this, because every time I look at it, what is that? Jack, tan, and handsome, a little JTH. It's similar to GTL, and now that's how my brain is using it. So love that we get to look at Equal Plays, Nowhere, and Sing Song, because how many times outside of the Delta Force Elite Invitational have we seen them on the Delta Force main broadcast, constantly looking to get involved in the show matches? So thousands of hours in this game, and plays like this are what we're going to be expecting here. Just nice angles held, good guards when it comes to saving that MandelBrick, and just being really difficult to maneuver around.
Yeah, there's some really clutch moments in the DFEI competition that we saw just then. Nowhere's team going absolutely massive in the last map to pick up the MandelBrick, a really high IQ play to stick Sing Song on the actual MandelBrick decoding station, and that's when they clutched it up. Really fun to watch. But these 5 teams came from our semifinals, Tiff, and you got to cast over a couple of them. Let's talk a little bit about that Group A that you casted with Vivid only about a week ago, and some of the teams that came out on top in that group.
Yeah, immediately jumping off the page, black and yellow, they're the winners of Group A with 1 brick, 17.2 million in total asset value. It was stellar, right? And we had a couple different teams grab MandelBricks in Group A, and they're all going to be represented from here because Inc. got 1 brick as well, got second based on their total loot value, about 5 million shy of where black and yellow was. But then when you were kind of looking for that next overall, the final team, that third, that was just kind of the next highest outside of either group, it's going to be AKA, right? So they had a MandelBrick and about 7.7 million in value. So substantially different. It's kind of like a staircase going down, but they all had their pop-off moments and made for such a joyous time, especially the Suniva 1v1s that we were witnessing in NA. I was like, this is insane. And also, I just want to say, Invin Baby B here, my man, that profile picture with the cat, you're vicious, and you had some pop-off kill moments, but now I'm slightly terrified.
Yeah, this is all replays from that semifinals day that you got a chance to cast. I was watching some of this broadcast back, and there were some really hype moments around these MandelBricks, and obviously some nice team shots, team fights, always looking for opportunities to make hero plays to save your life in this competition. And sometimes all it takes is a well-placed snipe, but overall some great moments looking back. You know, obviously this Inc. team was a great squad, like you had mentioned, but to be able to play for that third place position, just getting a MandelBrick basically got you to finals today is what I'm hearing, which is, I think, super important, because thinking about getting to LAN, it's going to be a similar story. You got to prioritize getting a MandelBrick. That's how this competition is ranked top to bottom. It's MandelBricks first, then total loot value. If you watched EU, I'm sure you did, because it was a banger. We learned a lot from that broadcast we'll talk here in a little bit about, but some final moments, great kills. Inc. was crushing it. And here's black and yellow, and this is the team that was on top, like you mentioned, Tiff. Take a look at these stats. Obviously, we had 2 fraggers on this squad, but overall, great loot and a lot of kills.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful when you can see that you are kind of utilizing everyone to the best of their capabilities. You always have to have someone that's kind of anchored down at the back, kind of focused on holding a lot of the valuable asset value. So you can see Sky's there with 6.3 million. And the fun part about this is that I don't believe it actually includes the value for the eliminations. And if you think about the 300k Technic alloy that you get per kill, that is so much value that you're adding to your teams just in getting those eliminations. Now, 2 of those kills from Johnner in particular, you got to see in that replay package. And I don't think we can actually show the potential of that kill. Like, he gets a 1v2 in a smoke while defending a MandelBrick, and I'm pretty sure Vivid and I were just absolutely losing it on the main broadcast, and we just kind of skirt over it in the replay package. But that is just goes to show you the plays that they can make. So we really have to keep eyes on black and yellow, because they have such a high clutch potential.
Well, yeah, and it's something we just watched in EU too. Being able to clutch up like that in a solo moment, be the hero. It's what I was mentioning. If you can be the hero, it may just take one moment of being the hero to book your ticket to LAN. That's how it was for MandelBrick Addiction in EU. But let's talk a little bit about semifinals Group B. It was off broadcast. I believe we had some watch parties for it. But obviously a top fragger here, Loco, doing a majority of the work for his team, cleaning up most of those eliminations. Of course, not seeing the assists. I'm sure it was a team effort here in Group B, but Loco frying with 11 kills in that semifinals. It's a great average per game across the board and great loot value here in semifinals B, Tiff. Pretty impressed with this squad. This is a team that has played in just about every competition they can get their hands on, sometimes on different teams, sometimes together. This Delta Force community is a really funny one, especially in the competitive scene, because these players exchange hands, the rosters change all the time, and this roster right here is probably the best version of these 3 players I've seen thus far. They crushed it in semifinals Group B.
They really did, and by crushed it, let's go ahead and say that they got 2 MandelBricks and 29 million in loot value. Like, substantially different than what we were witnessing in semifinals Group A. It was just a sponge. So to say crushed it, evisceration, whatever you want to go with, keep your eyes on that roster, because they're likely going to try to do the same again. However, when you mentioned EU a little bit right back there, I'm starting to think the pace of play of what we're going to witness for this NA lobby is going to kind of keep up with what we saw earlier.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I think usual gameplay loop is some early fights, a big break in the middle, setting up, and then the big fight's over either the extraction, some really important POIs, the airdrops, or of course the MandelBricks. I'm expecting that's what we will do going into this first map and into the second. But as a quick reminder, we're going to be starting with 0 dams. So at the first map, there will not be a MandelBrick. We're starting with 0 dam. The only time we will play 0 dam. Here's a quick look at our map rotation for the day. It's the same as it was in EU. It's the same it was in the semifinals. This is our competitive format. It is dictated. So we're starting here in 0 dam. We will then get our first brick round in Brakkesh in match 2. Then back to Brakkesh without a brick, and then bricks all the way through with Space City in 4, 5, and 6. Now, Tiff, let's talk about what we can expect from these non-brick rounds. This is a really important piece to this competitive scene because, yes, could be a team like MandelBrick Addiction in EU who picked up 2 MandelBricks and had some of the lowest loot value across the board. They just clutched up when they needed it most. But in these rounds where you're not getting MandelBricks, talk to me about what we'll expect to see on the map and maybe some key points about what teams will do.
Yeah, your job on these initial matches, especially match number 1, is just kind of get in the map, get a feel for the lobby, but not only that, loot your absolute heart out. Get as much value out of that initial match 1 as you possibly can. If you go down here earlier and end in the negative, it really sets yourself up for that uphill battle where you have to essentially go into a MandelBrick round and start that regain. So maybe we'll see people electing to use some of those assault operators more often than not here right off the beginning, maybe partnered with an engineer, but typically those engineers are so much more valuable in the MandelBrick rounds when you have to go on the hyper defense during a decode. So I really want to see people moving around 0 dam super quickly and then get out with all of that value, plus maybe a couple kills to really bolster it. However, when you think about what we saw in EU Goj, is the spawns were so weird on 0 dam that we really didn't get any fighting until like the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, spawns absolutely dictate it. There's a whole rule book on how all this works, but we're jumping straight into the game and we'll check out where they spawn this time around and see if there's maybe a couple teams contesting admins to start, and that is certainly the case. This one a bit more normalized as we see both Inc and SFC both sprinting at admin, likely going to be our first encounter, pending what happens in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen between Visitor Center and Substation. Admin is going to be the priority position, and already we're finding some decent loot on main across the board, actually in Submit Plant. That's Mingu picking up 187k item, I believe some coffee beans. But admin's going to be a fun fight to watch. Now, the other thing about these non-MandelBrick rounds, quickly, by the way, if we jump into this, and likely going to be our first engagement here against Saeed, hopefully able to find some good loot, and it doesn't look like Ink's going to get here quick enough, is that there are airdrops that drop. And if you haven't watched this, they have great loot and a potential for the AWM and about 10 rounds of ammo, a key factor for some teams to potentially find success on the map.
I love all those good shout outs. And as I kind of look at what our teams are utilizing here in terms of their operator composition, you do have kind of SFC, who did spawn up an admin, starting off grabbing 2 stingers. We're just burning stinger all together. Done, dusted, and Nox as well. So I like the play of Nox. We do typically see the majority of teams just not using Nox at all throughout the 6-game series, but you do have the ability to kind of get out and move and maybe focus on the fights with that. Here, you also have another assault operator. You got D-Wolf, we've got Shepard. We're feeling pretty good with this, and I think this is a good start.
No, I totally agree. SFC, again, they've actually looted up quite nicely. Found a stopwatch and a fossil, totaling about 600k roughly between just those 2 items. So take the early lead in terms of the loot categories. Yeah, I think it is worth mentioning. I mean, you see Infant Baby also with the Nox. What we saw from EU is that nobody liked playing Nox for the most part. Nox was the least played operator across 6 games. So burning it early to make sure you have whatever you want if it does go to 6 maps, not a bad thought. Also not a bad operator, depending on how you play them. It just kind of forces a certain play style. It doesn't have quite as much utility in some of these true 3v3 fights where you have to play kind of front to back, but assets obtained. JTH finds something off screen that we didn't see, pushing them up to 2.4 mil. I'd love to see if we can get an observer to take a look at that. I didn't see it pop up on the right unless I was blind, which is very possible because I'm really focused on this fight in admin. Again, it's a fight that'll likely take a long time, Tiff, but we'll see where it goes from here.
I mean, that's what I was kind of anticipating, is a lot of our teams were going to move rather slow. Once you really start upping the ante, considering what we saw in regional semifinals last weekend, sure, maybe a couple fights right off the rip, but this here and now, you are guaranteed top 2 to go to LAN, which is why would you want to go out early? And then you can see the mantle of Fossil. We're feeling pretty solid here.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great. It's like 500 plus just that player alone. Loco jumping up, joining his team. Patience being a virtue right now. And there's the look at it. This is JTH, I can only assume. Top secret server found. 2.1 mil. I was wondering what jumped them up. There they are, JTH. I was wondering what jumped them up to the top of the leaderboard. Nice find, gentlemen. This is a big one. And finding that in substation. Yeah, they're finding that in substation. A nice one.
They're like, oh my gosh, the loot gods have absolutely blessed us here in match number 1. But you think about the spawns that we saw on our prior regional finals, and just because they started good did not mean they got that luck throughout the entirety of the event. But still, at that 11-minute 30 mark, and no real issues just yet. But if I'm a team that have found maybe 2 to 3 mil, I can pop and grab the airdrop. Maybe I focus on leaving at that point.
Yeah, it's not a bad thought. I mean, if you're able to stuff your safe box full, we do allow safe boxes. They're all mandated and dictated to that 3x3. So you kind of have this buffer zone where you don't have to send someone out until you start filling up safe boxes fully. And obviously, a lot of these teams put good loot that they're bringing into the safe box. Just in case they die, they'll be able to use it in the next round. You know, the usual strats. Again, one of my favorite parts about this, while we have this kind of moment to breathe, one of my favorite parts about this new tournament format, we do find it. Ooh, nice watch there from Bayzona. That's 210K. This really does feel like pubs. I mean, it obviously way sweatier. It's custom lobbies. But everything that you experience in pubs, you mostly experience in customs. Some slow fights, sure. If you die, you lose all your gear. You can use your safe boxes. Really a good representation, rather, of what you'll find and how you play the normal game. Just way sweatier. And these teams playing really slow right now. But this is a classic strategy we see in Zero Damn Tiff. We see a team early get to the extract, SFC. They actually have a decent amount of loot, so they could take this. Lower loot value than maybe they would have liked, but they're trying to bait out a fight here at Damn.
And there goes the first airdrop. We'll likely go back to that fight. But it looks like JTH should have the positioning advantage in terms of being able to get the first team over there towards that airdrop. Likely going to find some nice armor or potential helmet.
Yeah, this is something we see often is you do have a Sinever operator playing for these airdrops. It's quite easy. Send the Sinever operator up with the shield, play behind it, and loot it up. Let's see what they find. You're right. Nice gold helmet to start things off. And some tequila. Why not?
Hey, it's all fun and games. More tequila, right? It's a party.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, we're getting some great loot. Not bad at all. Got a CD here for nowhere. JTH. That's Jack Tan and Handsome. So far, so good for this squad. They are looting up. First airdrop down. 2.1 mil red that they found earlier. They're feeling really comfortable right now.
Yeah, at this point, this would be a solid time to go ahead and take that early exit. And once you start thinking about exits, look at SFC here. Now, this is a strategy that we've definitely seen tried out. I've seen it go either way. This morning in EU, well, the team that was camping the extract didn't actually pan out to be the one that took the extract.
Yeah, that's so true. I will say, let's pay attention to what Spades is rocking right now. PKM in hand, and actually has some gold ammo in the inventory here. I believe they picked that up from Saeed. So we'll shred whoever walks through this door immediately, if anybody does. About 60 seconds on that clock. This will likely be our first fight, though, as Ink has spotted out a team close by, or at the very least heard them playing this off angle. See who peeks first. Ooh. So far, nobody.
I mean, I really love that we're just being hyper conservative. There's a good chance that they're going to filter out through this. Ink Killzol should be able to pick up one, but I love that they send the Saniva out first to kind of peek with the shield, and immediately not connecting on that kind of gives you the signal of, oh, hey, they're going to look to reposition. This is probably not going to come through, but elsewhere you got black and yellow skies starting to kind of open it up here against Mengu.
Yeah, Bay with the first pick. Here's skies. Black and yellow, it takes way too long for me to say, so I'm going to call them Bay today, as their abbreviation dictates. Notably in yellow, by the way, which is nice. The first knock of the first map. Almost trade out one. SFC are out of here, by the way. Nobody can test them in that damn extract, and they are out of the map. And it looks like JTH sent nowhere out of the map as well to assure that they can get all the loot that they want out. The other two likely going to stay to play spoiler. Watch out for Jack Tan and Handsome in the white or the gray, swinging around this map trying to find some kills in the last 5 minutes or so.
I'm surprised that no one decided to push on in early, but I think SFC definitely made the right call. I think getting out with north of 2 million is brilliant. We saw a lot of people leaving early on, like you said, with that JTH. For Ink, I think it's time to get mixy, right? We haven't really found a ton of the loot that some other teams may have, but what you can do is start anchoring down and get those 300k per kills. Plenty of them left on the board here.
And not taking the Dam extract does kind of force people's hand. We've got Dam Crest as an extract point, and then the Repair Passage as an extract point. Worth noting, they've got some asterisks on getting out of the map. We've seen that time and time again. The no backpack extract. And there's the second airdrop. We found our first AWM. A big take. Now you got to get out of the map with it. Can't put this stuff in your safe box, so you got to play with it in hand and hope you don't lose it.
Oof.
A lot of loot value, obviously, but more so the value that comes with this weapon. We all know this weapon far too well, oftentimes at the hands of our enemies, one-shotting us as we're running across the map on Space City. We'll see what Ink's able to do with it.
Well, Ink did have, I think, 6 kills during the regional semifinals, so substantial. Killzol actually walked away with double digits. The only player from the regional semis to have double-digit kills. So a team that could really benefit from having the AWM for sure.
A good shout. It's the first body, the only body that's been cut down thus far. They's going to try to get that loot up if they can. Well, here's the Dam extract again. There was enough timer on the actual map itself, albeit a 16-minute map. Yes, they are a bit shorter than normal pubs. It was able to be pulled again, I believe, from the substation lever. We've got another Dam extract, and it is in time before the map is over. You can see the Dam extract has got 3 minutes left on the clock, and the map's got nearly 5, so plenty of time to get out. And now, a repeat of history. What just happened a moment ago, this time likely contested. We see AKA holding the Dam extract, kind of actually out in the open right now, maybe trading loot. If they're not careful. Ink's going to take a look at this and catch one unaware.
I'm imagining they're going to hear it. But if I'm Ink, you cannot assume that you are the only team walking up in here.
Yeah, somebody pulled the lever.
But this angle. This angle from January, though.
Yeah, box is set up decently. Only problem here is it really comes down to who knocks first. Okay, we do have a Viren. This is what I was curious about. Missing the left-hand side. AKA 60 MG with the Viren. Gonna early burn this knockdown, which if it would have landed, maybe they could have pushed on it. They've got a Saniva on their side as well. The Sonic Paralysis coming in. They were likely expecting a full push, so we went ahead and tried to knock them down to stave off the push. So far, so good. Smokes galore. They do swing in. They make it inside technically. The battle for the ages here to start things off. Finally, a full team of 3 versus a team of 3. 1 week on the side of Ink.
Yeah, those traps right there, but the swing on a 60 MG, and he falls first. Unfortunate now, Articuno. January healing back on up. The Saniva with the shield down. Just trying to get closer. Leaves his back on open.
Yeah, this is brutal. And all of a sudden, look who comes in for the third party. Bay, black and yellow. Getting into the mix and taking down the final remaining member of that squad, a.k.a. full out of this map. And Ink has taken the power position inside the Dam. There's still plenty of time left on it, 70 seconds or so. You gotta remember, there's 2 members of JTH running around the map trying to play spoiler. We told you to watch out for him. Equal plays. Get a third party to the third party. Make it a fourth party potential. Here we go. Equal plays as a solo. Slow walking into this fight.
Oh, picks up a little bit more speed. Captures one off guard. Doesn't get the knock. Okay, so now not only that, but we've given away our presence, and black and yellow has full scent inside. Start looking through it, but I mean, you've got to realize that we burned a lot of our kit just to get in terms of our abilities. So just kind of bleeding on out from a massive nade coming in from Killzall.
That's a triple kill with a nade?
And it's, yeah, the incendiary just went gnarly in there. Oh my God.
This is the problem with the damn extract. If you force the push into that corridor on the left-hand side, a couple well-placed nades, all of a sudden a full team wipe. Ink is up big right now. And with 15 seconds remaining, Equal Play is going to catch the tail end of this and try to catch one unaware. They're absolutely peeking you. A nice take, rips some of the shields, rips some of the health, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to go for the triple blaster play here. There's just not enough time. Even if he gets a knock here, they're going to get out of the map. He knows it. They know it. They're out of the map. Equal Play is not able to do too much besides scare a couple folks. And Sing Song gets out of the map through the no backpack extract on the other side to the north of Barracks. Well done from JTH, but even better job from Ink. All 3 out with a ton of kills.
I am just shell-shocked, right? And you do still have in the safe box that hyper valuable item. So I'm really not too worried about it. You can see it's going to take up the whole thing. It's worth what, 2.1, 2.2? Yeah. That is where the majority of their value and assets is coming through. But I feel like those are one of those clips that we need to see run back from, I believe it was Killzall's POV, right? I want to see the arm that threw the nade, that connected and completely took out everyone.
Yeah, that's wild nade. Equal Play knows he's last on the map, or should be near last on the map. We do have Mango's team floating out there somewhere as we're trying to write some words into the wall. We'll swing over to see where they're at. Does look like they're trying to get out on the south side of the map. Should be able to extract here. Ooh, just barely in time. Not a ton of loot, but hey, we lost 1 player earlier. We played nice and slow. We keep 2 alive. Better to get out than not, frankly. So nice job from them to maintain whatever loot they've got moving into the next round. No problem at all. Got a decent amount of loot. See the cordless drill. Used to be worth a lot. Not as much anymore. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I reference it every single show. I used to farm those things. But decent loot in the safe box. Mango's team, 2 players getting out. A very interesting first map of the day, Tiff. I gotta say, a little bit slower than I was expecting, but some really fun team fights towards the end, as expected, on the extraction points. So overall, a fun map.
Yeah, I think it was fun. I'm really proud of a lot of our teams for actually prioritizing the extraction, right? We didn't see a huge amount of full wipes, a lot of fights in general, just mostly focus on just trying to get out of the map. So this really sets us up for success when we think about our MandelBrick rounds that kick off next, of course.
Yeah, I'm pumped about the MandelBrick round as well. First one on Brakkesh next. But again, fun map. I think Ink are the big winners on that, albeit there was some great loot across the board from multiple different teams and multiple different players, trying to make some hero plays at the very least. I do think Ink comes out on top because of the amount of kills they picked up. Some big team wipes there. You got to remember, 300k Technic Alloy per kill. So a lot of value just from the kills themselves. Of course, we got to look back on these airdrops and some of the replays from this last map, because it was a slow start, but the battle over. Airdrops or nearby them caused Bay to pick up their first kill on 1 member of the Mango team. But this was the first team fight we watched. AKA had the best position, Tiff, but they didn't have the best gunny comparatively to what Ink was bringing to the table. Breeze comes around the backside, wipes the team. Saniva Operator tries to get out of the map, but Zomo's here to play third party, so they trade one of those out. But beams downrange means Zomo's gonna have to get picked back up for Bay to try to fight this again. And this is where the crazy nade comes through. You actually see Zoro drop first, and then a second nade likely picking up the other 2. A great team wipe from that team. Whereas Equal Plays didn't have much else to do on the lobby. Tried to play spoiler and couldn't get anything for it.
Hey, still overall very impressive, and I love that the majority of our fights on Zero Dam throughout our Invitational and all these qualifiers is that they all center around that Northern Dam extract. But you know what? We don't get to see Zero Dam anymore throughout this, at least until some of our players get to land.
Yeah, that's right. No more Zero Dam. We're headed to Brakkesh next, and excited about this map. It's going to be our first brick round. Definitely going to see a lot of action, especially playing around that MandelBrick. And I just like the way Brakkesh plays. But a start that some of these teams wanted to be a little bit hot, they fell short. Bad fights, and well, for SFC, they got out very early. I think there was like 10 minutes left. They pulled that lever, nobody chowed them, and they said, fine, we'll get out with our loot and a little bit more from it. Well done winning out an admin and getting out of the map, folks. We're going to do some map behind the scenes to see who's on top of the leaderboard going into our first brick round. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, game 2, our first MandelBrick. You're not going to want to miss it.
Delta Force is coming to consoles on August 19th, and we are incredibly excited to welcome players to the latest installment of the legendary shooter franchise.
Players can expect 2 highly dynamic and action-packed modes in Delta Force Warfare and Operations. Warfare is our tribute to previous Delta Force titles, offering players a dynamic roster of maps to enjoy all-out war experiences with vehicle play and counter, infantry combat, and more. Operations puts the player in the boots of an elite Delta Force in a modern extraction shooter game. Players can play solo or team up while experiencing its thrilling PvE moments. We're also bringing the faithfully rebooted Black Hawk Down campaign to console gamers in the format of free DLC to relive the 1993 battle.
Here at Virtuos, we worked closely with Team Jade to materialize their vision of Delta Force on consoles. Being a highly dynamic shooter game, frame rate consistency is extremely important for Delta Force. And we have spent tons of efforts to ensure that the game enjoys a stable 60 frames per second, with almost no frame rate drops. With adaptive trigger support, every shot in the game will feel even more impactful, satisfying, giving players an even more immersive experience. We also gave Xbox Series S some additional love, so despite its highly portable size, Series S players will also get the same frame rate treatment.
To ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience for console players, we've completely overhauled Delta Force's interface. We added focus-based navigation and quick access buttons, so players can easily perform all frequent in-game actions. For operations, we also introduced auto-inventory sorting when bleeding, making the experience much more convenient.
As for input, we created a fully remappable control system with multiple presets, added sensitivity and dead zone settings, and fine-tuned haptics for weapons, vehicles, and abilities. All of this is designed to ensure the controls feel smooth and intuitive, giving players a great gameplay experience.
We can't wait for console players around the world to jump in and experience everything Delta Force has to offer. Grab your controller, squad up, and play for free on August 19th.
Invitational Qualifiers North America Regional Final started off with a bang. Here's our Group A match 1, aka the only group of the day. Ink on your screen. 4.4 mil in total assets from that one. Not too bad. Just barely eking out over Jack Tan and Handsome here, Tiff.
Yeah, this is going to be largely in particular to the fact that they had 5 kills. So 300k per 5 kills, you guys do the math. 3 of those were thanks to kills all hitting a nasty nade. So we'll take the 4.4 million. Jack Tan and Handsome did really nice getting out with 3.8. Of course, we saw FFC take that early exit and go ahead and just dip on out of there. But when you look at the overall ink that kind of hails from that Group A regional semifinals last week, and they actually got 2nd overall in that group, and now seeing them first on the overall leaderboard is great and all, but we got to get them a MandelBrick once they start spawning.
Yeah, great numbers across the board. Pretty even spread. This is not what we saw during Europe. This is what I expected, though. Usually the first map doesn't put somebody way out ahead, just gives them a nice buffer overall to work with on the leaderboard. Of course, this is your total assets going in. Reminder, all teams came in with 3 million technically on the leaderboard. 1 million per player is what they start with to kit themselves out, etc. So some of the teams at the bottom basically gained nothing for the most part. Team at the top gained that 4 million or so that we just saw on the match leaderboard. So that's the way that works. I will say, again, I think in Europe we had a team, I think it was Perry, that got well into double digits, were way apart, put themselves above and beyond everybody else, which set them up for success, albeit they didn't make land, unfortunately, because they couldn't get a MandelBrick. So it's exactly what you just said. Loot value extremely helpful in terms of bringing the best kit in and making sure that you beat the other teams in your same metric, whether they have a MandelBrick or not. But it's all about the MandelBrick. So a nice game thus far from Ink. And I think overall, they kind of set the tone for what they're capable of. They won a fight in a disadvantageous position by getting the early knock, aggressively pushed it, took the advantageous position, and were able to hold it. They truthfully were the team to beat when it came to Zero Damn Tiff. I'll be curious if they can do it again on Brakkesh.
I mean, their fights look great, and I think that they've definitely tightened up on some things that they had probably maybe struggled with in the regional semifinals. But as you look at the map rotation, of course, you're talking about it right. We're going over to Brakkesh. It's on that hard difficulty, and there's going to be a MandelBrick. So think about the spawns that we've been seeing. Typically, you'll see maybe 1 or 2 teams in the new Tower Babel. Sometimes, if they're unlucky, you'll have that 3rd team that spawns just outside of it. But for the majority of our teams that spawn up in the north or nearby the Royal Museum, in which that MandelBrick will spawn, that's going to favor you, right? But are you bold enough to go ahead and grab the MandelBrick and rush it off to one of the several decoding stations? We've seen Asura Camp go absolutely crazy. We've seen so many different things. But when you think about decoding, you need to have an engineer operate.
Yeah, I agree. I think having some sort of defensive operator is helpful for holding that decoding station. Here's a quick look, by the way, at the operator usages across the board for our teams. Notably, 4 out of 6 teams went for Nox to start things off. Again, the players basically told me, now I like playing Nox, but the players basically told me, hey, he's kind of out of the meta, so we want to kind of burn him early so that we've got a ton of usage for the operators we want to use in this competitive mode, which I think is a fair assessment. Saw a couple, it looks like half of our lobby ended up using D-Wolf as well. And it was only 1 team that is out of stingers across the board. So as we move into Brakkesh, will be interesting to see what the operator choices are, but even more interesting to take a look at this map. And Tiff, so as not to monologue too much before we start, I will say this is the first MandelBrick round for North America, so I do want to explain to the people at home how this works very quickly. MandelBricks are everything. Yes, once it's stolen, it resets the timer. So you can see it's stolen 10, 15 times potentially. The lowest that timer can go once it's stolen in the decoding station is 1.5 minutes. Goes down every 30 seconds. It starts at 3.5 minutes. The second steal would be 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. But the lowest it can go is 1.5 minutes. There's a chance we could run out of the clock. And the last note I will make for the people at home is you have to be alive when the MandelBrick finishes decoding. Post-mortem MandelBrick decode does not count towards your total. There's all my rules and regulations, Tiff. As we jump into the action, talk me through this map.
All I see are 3 teams full sending it straight towards Royal Museum. The difference maker here is that AKA is going to be one of them that is rotating in from the southern side of things. They are going to have a differential when it comes to the fights here because 2 of the players are walking in with the blue helmet, blue armor. As you can see, Articuno will be one of them. 60 MG is the only one on purple. Granted, they are coming in with purple ammo, so I'm feeling a little better about their chances in terms of fighting, but they need to be able to shoot hard and hit first.
That's right. 3 teams around the MandelBrick. It is on a timer before you can pick it up. That timer is roughly around 3 minutes at the start. So you're going to see that when it gets to 17 minutes, that's when they're going to be able to actually grab the MandelBricks. So these teams are just setting up for that right now. But it was Bay in yellow. Black and yellow, I think you just mentioned, not here. All the way down at the south side of the map. Really important for them. Likely going to see black and yellow be at the top of the leaderboard in terms of loot value this game, if they're able to loot up all of the Tower of Babel by themselves.
All right, get those traps out, January. Okay, so at least we're kind of getting situated to look for a siege here into Royal Museum. Now, of course, you do have SFC that is towards the north of the map. Now, you think about the decoding stations. Typically, we've been seeing Market a lot more lately. Asura Camp still relatively open and definitely proves for some crazy sightlines. Hotel, oftentimes not going to be that favored choice. So still got to keep tabs on where we're moving. But JTH has actually found themselves out on the western side of Royal Museum. So if something does go amok, which of course it will here inside the museum once that MandelBrick spawns, they're going to keep close tabs on it.
Great shout. We'll keep you updated on where our teams are at. Right now, SFC in the green is on the north side of the map around the market. I'll start creeping towards the museum as well. The south side of the maps contain Tower of Babel is going to be Bay. Right here, of course, the layer cake. And I apologize, it's 3.5 minutes, not 3, my bad. Should open up here at 16:30. And then you're right, Jack Tan and Handsome just outside the museum, just off screen, waiting for this first team to grab the brick and sprint out of this POI. Everyone patient.
Yeah, definitely patient, but black and yellow found a nice red item worth like 300k. So definitely paying off looting the Tower of Babel for them. What they're going to be late to is this MandelBrick, but they're going to have access to potential easy rotation up towards the decoding stations.
Yeah, great shot, and they're proving that we know ball. When you have the Tower of Babel to yourself, you're going to be at the top of the leaderboard on the left-hand side. You see him at 1.7. Here's a quick look at that map that we just broke down, by the way. It does look like SFC's actually crept in way closer. They're getting into this action here whenever it does break out. The brick is able to be grabbed right now. And there are 3 teams inside the museum, 2 teams holding the outside, and black and yellow just getting every piece of loot they could possibly get their hands on. Let's see who moves first.
This is very similar, Goj, to what we witnessed on the semifinals that were happening last weekend, is that there were multiple teams that would stand around the MandelBrick, but not actually commit to taking it yet. They didn't want to be some of the first ones, but Killzall, like I said, the only double-digit fragger from the semis, is definitely looking to get involved.
Looks like Jack Tan and Handsome going to pick up the one part of the 2 parts of the Blue Eagle. Always a funny conversation. Not funny, though. It's a couple bullets to the face. Does look like actually Ink trades blows and wins the encounter, dropping the top fragger from SFC. Loco down first. Just a depleting of resources more than anything else right now. Blue Eagles helicopters trying to help and finish them off. Paid actor there, but so far nobody's moving towards the brick. This could have been an opening signal flare for Mangu's team to maybe make a play for the brick, but nobody's willing to move first. The helicopter outside providing a bit of audio cover for maybe some of these teams to start creep walking towards this brick. You told me it was going to be slow to start things off, and you're right. Good grief. These teams do not want to move first.
Yeah, it's a little more slower than what I was thinking of, but very reminiscent of last weekend for the semifinals. Now, EU, they definitely amped up the pace a bit, and they would have already had the MandelBrick on the move. But it's respectable, right? You do not want to fall out here early. Think about what this is going to do when we kind of mesh all the 8 regions on LAN. It's going to completely shift because you have to adapt to how everyone else is playing and be able to counteract it. For now, we're just going to maintain this slow-ish pace. For black and yellow, they are going to have to leave that Tower of Babel at some point, and will likely dictate depending on if someone does decide to pick up this MandelBrick.
Nice gold bar there from Skies off screen. Well, 300k. They've pumped up all the way over at 2.6 mil on the left-hand side of your screen. Well, you've got a moment because nobody wants to move first. assets obtained, when you see that tag, that's in this map alone. Just showing the individual map leaderboard. 2.6 mil there for Bay. Mangu's already at 1.1 mil. Some of the gear they've found, so on and so forth. You can also swap it to total assets, and that'll show the overall leaderboard between all of the maps. And look at production. There's the overall leaderboard. Inc. at 7.9 in total, including what they found on this map. This won't necessarily take into account the kills, which of course we haven't had any yet. And some of that'll be totaled after, but this will give you kind of a live update on where we're at on this leaderboard, which is a nice value add. But wow, 4 minutes passed. I feel like I could be a golf commentator right now.
I mean, you really could. You really could. I watched Happy Gilmore 2 the other day, and the golf commentators were in there. There was like 100 different cameos in that movie. It was kind of wild, but nah, some good moments here, and there'll definitely be some more here. You can see Killzall just kind of prone there on the other side of things, ready for someone to walk into that line of sight. What we could talk about is the fact that we're seeing our first Lunas coming into the mix, right? No one really wants to waste that on a airdrop round. You want to maximize the utilization of that here in these MandelBrick rounds. So to throw her alongside a Toxic, and of course you've got your Engineer in terms of Luru. So this is a strong composition that I was expecting to see on a MandelBrick round. But when you do have kind of your top fragger there, Killzall, locked and ready to go, I just want to see someone kind of poke the bear, right? Someone start a riot, because you know as soon as one team gets involved in a fight, everyone's getting involved.
Yeah, and all the meanwhile, Black and Yellow have found another almost 700k to the graphics card and another gold bar. I mean, they are just farming over there in the Tower of Babel. Of course, some of this is dictated by spawns. Like, if I'm Jack Tan and Handsome, I am kind of not forced to, but the most optimal position is play the outside of this building and wait on somebody to move. I don't think they expected people to sit here for 7 minutes or so waiting on somebody to go. But they have to kind of play this outside angle because we have to play for this decoding station. You got to remember, I mean, we think back to the semifinals. If you get a MandelBrick, you were making finals. It's not quite that simple for this, but if you get a MandelBrick, you're almost assuredly a top 2 team. Absolutely in the conversation, at least, and able to play for it. But all quiet on western, eastern, middle front. The only ones moving in the south. And they're just looting up.
They're in a world of their own at this point. They are just living their best life, but we are going to get a replay.
Oh, no.
Fine.
I don't think this is Larry. This croc is Barry, maybe, but he's trying to get active. Really National Geographic style now. I was going to make a David Attenborough joke. I could never live up to that man's name, but they killed the gator. Had to do it to him. That's brutal.
Also, Happy Gilmore, right in our face yet again. Totally fine. But we start hearing all the noise in JTH from the west. And I believe this might actually be the Blue Eagle that's trying to start something.
Yeah,
so...
I mean, hey, we had to call on the devs and say, ring, ring, hey, let's get this Eagle shooting at people to get things moving. That's exactly what's happening. They do finally take down the actual pilot. They killed the co-pilot earlier, found the angle on the pilot. Now, you can loot up this helicopter, too, so you actually could find some decent loot out of it. We'll see what they're able to find. Hey, yo, nice. Little key card, not too bad. Nothing super expensive. Looks like it was about 300k or so. 2 of them. Take that. Actually, sorry, that's not what I thought it was. That's the survey. I was about to say, there's no way the key card's cheap. That's the Muse survey. Nice. Actually, some pretty solid loot. Pushed them up to about 800k. We take the museum surveillance route. It is a key card. All right, I'm getting baited.
It's totally fine. They didn't have anything that was of value until this initial moment. They had just kind of been anchored down, looking for third parties. But I do want to prioritize the fact that North America, they're playing smart. They don't want to take a fight that is going to be just not in their favor. So whether or not that's being conservative, waiting for someone else to pick up the MandelBrick and escort it up to a decoding station where then they can rip it from them, I understand that play.
You know, Tiff, that's a nice caster way of putting that this team's strategy, all team strategy on this map, besides black and yellow, is to just wait for somebody else to make the first move. Which I think is the right thing to say. I do want to yell at them and punch them and tell them to get to moving because I want to see some action, but I agree. Strategic gameplay is the right answer. Not violence. Strategic gameplay. We're playing for a spot at land. We're playing for a spot to compete for 500k. A big moment. Black and yellow have jumped up the leaderboard quite dramatically and have closed the gap. This is total assets on the left-hand side, so the margin's quite thin here. And they're saying, wait, did everybody else, like, leave or something? Should we just go get the MandelBrick? They haven't heard a peep besides Blue Eagle, who's now dead. That's the NPC. This might be a world record for the lowest steps taken in a game of Delta Force. All right, here we go. Let's go. Ink, you're my heroes. I knew you guys would be the first to move. You were slaying out in the first game. It only took you almost 10 minutes, but we've got the brick and we're on the run and everybody knows it. The floodgates are open and we don't got a lot of time on the clock here, Tiff. I think this is going to be a race against their opposition and a race against the clock, and they are sprinting to a decoding station. The question is, do they go to market or do they head all the way over to camp where, funny enough, look who's rotated to camp early. It's black and yellow trying to read them like a book.
So that's awesome because JTH was kind of on the west sitting on one. And of course you had SFC that might have been lurking towards that mid-map to another decoding station. So black and yellow, after completely looting the new Tower Babel by themselves, they rotate over to Asura camp, which is exactly where Ink is heading. So now where you look to see where Bay specifically has positioned. Zomo here kind of playing off this ledge, threading towards this kind of lookup, will have such clean shots depending on how they decide to filter through this. But he could just also say, hey, you know, I'm getting some audio cues. I'm going to go ahead and back up, maybe hide behind this. How do we want to assess this fight and kind of start that moving? But they actually, wait a second.
They've got a decoding station. This is the first time we've ever seen a team do this. Not only world record for how long it takes to take the first steps on our map. I think this is the first time we've ever seen in these competitions, correct me if I'm wrong, rotating all the way down to reservoir area for the decode. They knew everybody else was north, or at least they expected it. And so they've rotated all the way to the south to play for this decoding station. What a move.
Yeah, so most people don't pick this one, so I almost kind of ignore it. But yes, this is a very viable decoding station. Of course, it's a smart move to play. Now, here's another reason why I think this is super incredible, is waiting so long in this match duration, which has only been about 20 minutes, you're forcing the hand of teams to amp their pace up, right? Because the moment they steal it, there's a good chance that there actually won't be enough time to decode it. And throughout the journey of trying to get to the reservoir station, all of our teams are starting to collapse on each other.
Yeah, a great find here. Here's a look over top of this fight. SFC trying to play the backside of this engagement because black and yellow was the first to rotate. They came out of camp. Everybody knows where the decoding station is and where this MandelBrick is. And so these two teams immediately tried to rotate there, but they didn't read that black and yellow were already at camp. So black and yellow rotate early. They hear the footsteps behind. They catch one in transition. Loco is down. Top fragger out, and it's a 3v2. This is not for the MandelBrick, though. This is for first to the MandelBrick. And with a knockdown, talk about the efficacy of Viren on main stage. A perfect knockdown and perfect cleanup. Well done from Zomo. Black and yellow moving different on this map.
And that's wild because SFC is the team that completely annihilated the semifinals in Group B. Two MandelBricks, 29 million, just really excelled. But now down to just a solo here in match number 2. Likely not going to be getting a MandelBrick for themselves here. And we'll have to wait until they get it back on Space City. For AKA, though, bottom of the leaderboard with 3.4 million asset. We're going to have to kind of get things moving. Now, where they're situated is going to be close to that middle of map extract if someone does decide to pull the lever.
It's going to be first.
MandelBrick.
It's going to be first to MandelBrick, potentially rotating through Tower of Babel. And I want to say that Ink is holding this angle already. Killcell's in the corner. He's behind them. Should have the easiest flank of his life. They don't know he's here. Trigger discipline. I like it. He knows if he shoots first, they can turn and kill him. Finds one that was already weak, finds the other. Saniva isn't able to get the knock. Maybe a hair too much discipline, but picks up one, and it looks like Killzall with Eze able to trade out another. So it's going to be a 2v1, a perfect setup from Killzall to be able to play the trades. And with this 2v1, the enemy has seized the MandelBrick. Take a look top middle quickly. There is no more room on this MandelBrick timer. 320 on the decoding timer, 322 on the overall map timer, and Ink has wiped JTH. What a setup from Killzall. All of a sudden, black and yellow, the team to watch out for. They've got the decode going, and if anybody steals it, I don't think anybody can get it.
Well, it looks like FC is going to get one of their players on up, and for AKA, still trying to hit a regain here. God, this is just wild. Killzall's nutty.
Is a perfect setup. We've got to watch that back in the replays. They played one out prone behind, played the trades from behind, caused enough commotion to win the fight overall. The problem is black and yellow were rotating up from the north because they won the fight in SFC. Because they were able to do that, they now have full control over the decoding station and the opportunity for Ink to get back into this game after they've lost 2 players. So Ink's down to 1, AKA's down to 2. Black and yellow have the advantage and currently the MandelBrick, but they have to play extremely close to this decoding station, Tiff. If this gets stolen again, no one's getting the MandelBrick.
Which is what the majority of our lobby would rather have. We would rather have no one get it than a team claim it. So to play to perfection is going to be difficult. With 2 minutes on the clock, you can see the first opponents, the challengers towards the MandelBrick are lurking. AKA, keep your eyes on January. That crouch walking is going to make him be one of the first players there. But SFC is taking the same initial rotation, and Sky's read it. Picks up spades, hits the full, and it's going to be tough here for SFC.
Golly, shooting nukes. Didn't even have a chance. A huge take. Saniva operator is going to be a tough one to deal with. They don't care too much about that. You've got to protect this station. It does look like Johnner, by the way, is basically playing on the decoding station smartly. So should be able to trade out one. As long as a full team of 3 doesn't rush it, he should be okay for Skies to play this long angle. And I think he's being called back by his team right now. He and Zomo both turned to maybe try to help out Johnner because they hear some footsteps behind. Somebody smoking the decoding station? No, not yet. We still have time.
I fear that all of these teams might descend upon the decoding station at the exact same time, knowing that as long as we get it from them, no one gets it. Thus diminishing the amount of MandelBricks throughout the total series down to 3, but Zomo picks up another. SFC, though, instead of fighting the team for the MandelBrick, they're just taking out whoever they can find in Mengu. That is unfortunate for you.
Yeah, we've got a lot of trades happening right now because they have to. 60 seconds on the clock, or less now, 45 seconds. SFC finding a sizable amount of kills. We actually lose Skies from the backside. This is bad news if you're black and yellow. If you want this MandelBrick, you've got to win some of these gunfights. You're going to have to go huge. As Skies is down, we only have 2, and Johnner's not looking at the decoding station right now. Now he can play the low side. As long as Johnner doesn't get taken, nobody can take this decode. He has to stay looking at it, though. Somebody's going to make a run for it, and they're going to lose it. I don't think he hears the footsteps up above, and they lose it. SFC, he turns away just for a moment. Maybe he gets called off of it. No one will get the MandelBrick in game 2, and now it's just a slugfest for the next 10 seconds here, Tiff. All of these kills worth 300K. No one getting out of this map.
No one is getting out. Everyone's losing something. We just wasted so much time, and now no one gets a MandelBrick. This was the biggest stalemate of all time for match number 2, and I don't even know what that leaderboard's gonna look like after this.
Sometimes when you're playing chicken, you get run over, and that's what happened for just about every single team, Tiff. That was a wild map, something I was not expecting. Some absolutely crazy highlight level plays and moments towards the end. But all of a sudden, every team looked up, besides JTH, who was the first team wiped. And there wasn't enough time. There's just not enough clock left. You guys burned 10 minutes around Museum. All of a sudden, you got to make a play for it. And I don't know if it would have mattered. Maybe Johnner just dies in a 1v2, but you got to play for that decoding station. You knew if someone stole it, you weren't getting it. You got to just play for it. You weren't getting out of the map anyways. You've just got to hold down that angle. I mean, left trigger, right trigger if you're on controller, which none of these players are. Just hold down your controls. Make sure you're paying attention to that decode station. You lose sight of it, you lose the MandelBrick. Everyone loses the map. That is crazy. I have no idea what the leaderboard will look like after that one because it's going to come down to safe boxes and then just raw kills.
Yeah, there was about, 30 seconds left on the clock there for the decode, and a member as SFC was the one that like full sent towards the decoding station. I was like, I don't care about anything else. As we look through these replays, you'll probably see that moment kind of happen, but everything started with the greatest stalemate ever here inside Royal Museum. Okay, we're just gonna jump to the MandelBricks.
Yeah, thank goodness. There's no other replays in the first 15 minutes. Look, we finally got the decode in at 5 minutes left on the map. This is a 20-minute map, but here's the highlight level plays. This black and yellow team had the best map by far in terms of what they were likely able to put in their safe boxes and a sizable amount of kills. They did a great job of this early rotate out, wiping 2/3 of SFC. The problem is they actually get punished for not full wiping that team, which we'll get to in a moment. Ink, though, kills all, playing prone from behind, set up flawlessly on JTH. He was trying to play the flank. Because of this engagement, though, Ink lost multiple players on their team, and they couldn't get back over to the decoding station. Black and yellow get the decode, they steal it away, and they hold it for a majority of the time. Great shots here from Zomo. His Viren gameplay in that one was a ton of fun to watch. Mangu trading out a couple blows as well, but the decoding station stolen here from Grim with only, 15 seconds left? A nice steal, a great boon for playing Saniva. You can block some ammo, or block some shots rather, conserve some ammo, and just steal the decode and make sure no one gets that MandelBrick.
Look, did exactly what he needed to do, and that just prolongs our tournament, right? Because as of right now, the overall leaderboard is going to be dictated by that total asset value. No MandelBricks have been obtained just yet, and we won't see another one until match number 4.
Won't see it until match number 4, and you're right, that means nobody can win on map 4. The minimum games we will play is now 5 because you need 2 MandelBricks to get out of this lobby early. Otherwise, we are playing 6. Folks, don't go anywhere. Game 3 right around the corner. Another Brakkesh map, this time without a MandelBrick. Maybe the teams will move around a little bit quicker trying to play for some of those airdrops. You're not going to want to miss it.
Some people want to run rampant, looting in Asara. But my forces will make sure they don't come back. We'll settle the score. Asara is ours.
On the current disputed area, enemy forces want to initiate peace talks.
Havoc will not negotiate with fools. Weapons represent our stance.
We must keep a sharp edge. Violence is sometimes a necessity, not in brutal destruction, but in a calculated strike.
Violence isn't always the answer. Looks like we have company. Seal the air. Clear all obstacles. The sky belongs to Havoc.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers North American Regional Finals, and here is our match leaderboard. This is just from match 2 here, Tiff. We went to Brakkesh, and it was, well, frankly, extremely slow until the very, very end, and it looks like Black and Yellow, as expected, they stuffed their safe boxes full of everything they could get their hands on because the Tower of Babel was theirs for the taking, so they went out because not a single player got out of this lobby.
Yeah, and that's why this match 2 leaderboard is pretty wild. Luckily, Black and Yellow benefited from looting the entire Tower of Babel, so congratulations to them. But I do love that Mengu was only able to lose 7,600 assets, because that may seem like just such a trivial amount, but what they did was they kind of mitigated any damage that they were really going to take. It's not like they lost a mil, they lost 200,000 at most, and that's going to be ink in your last place team. So I think this was a very interesting round, and there's just no way that match number 4 on Space City is going to go like this once we introduce the next MandelBrick.
Yeah, totally agree. Here's a look at the overall, by the way, and talk about razor-thin margins. Good grief. I mean, 300K spread is essentially 0. I mean, that spread is nothing. That's a single kill, and these teams get that in well more, actually. Just from the end of match compensation, just to make sure they have something to buy anything with. So you're right. I mean, if you see losing 7,000, that's kind of the total based on everything totaled in. They save the stuff in their safe boxes. They lose some gear. They get some match compensation and overall come out about even. We take that for the most part. Even bottom to top of this leaderboard, Tiff, a 3.5 million spread isn't all that much. Just imagine if Black and Yellow would have said, hey, look, somebody's going to get this MandelBrick, or maybe they wouldn't have, because who knows. They just would have grabbed all of their loot from Tower of Babel and just all extracted. They would have been way up on this leaderboard.
Yeah, they really would have. But for right now, we're going to keep it close. And I kind of like this. I understand if match number 2, that pacing may have been slower than usual, but this is just going to make that leaderboard so incredibly tight. And as we look towards our Brakkesh match in match number 3, it's going to be an airdrop map. So more chances for higher quality helmets, for armors, all of the goods here, and the potential for more of that Lapua ammo. But we want to keep in terms of is who is going to make it out again. Do we see something similar to that match 1 on Zero Dam, where a lot of people just loot up quick, find some nice valuable assets, and then dip? Because I think that's going to be smart here.
Yeah, I think so too. With how close this leaderboard is, loot value is going to be a major component to team success. I think in the last competition, we were talking mostly about MandelBricks, but with 1 down and nobody grabbing that first brick, loot value could be huge. We'll see. Let's talk a little bit about the operator usage, though. We do see, of course, Senevas came through in that last round, and it looks like Jack 10 and Handsome are actually out of Seneva operators. We saw how valuable they were, especially on the decoding station, so maybe a frustrating one from them, but I'm sure that was well calculated. They've done a lot of scrims, and they're a really strong team. However, they've lost their D-Wolf completely and Seneva. Everything else, very easy to use for Jack, Tan, and Handsome. The rest, a pretty decently even spread.
Ooh, but as we gear up for our last map on Brakkesh, get a good look at our crocodile up in here, because we saw him go down to some incendiaries in match number 2. However, we also have seen it happen in the semifinals where he has bit back and taken down some of our players.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Watch out for the croc. But here's a look. Okay, a quick look at the map, and things have definitely changed. We got 2 teams in Museum, and they are sprinting through it. We got 2 teams already inside of the Tower of Babel, and a third, SFC, gonna go join the party over there as well. Whereas AKA have the entire northern side of the map to themselves. So likely gonna see AKA kind of sprint around, make sure they check all of their angles, realize they're alone, get a decent amount of loot. But the battle for the Tower of Babel likely going to be the first fight, albeit probably one that will take a very long time, as these teams are hyper strategic.
Ooh, still love kind of the poke off at the Royal Museum occurring right now as well, because there is going to be some valuable loot that is going to make it. You grab it, you go. Zomo right there, grabbing that gold bar, kicking things off strong.
Yeah, we'll take a little 331K start. Not a bad way to start things off here in the museum. Black and Yellow. They were down kind of on the leaderboard based on what happened in Zero Dam. But in this last map, closed the gap to where they're not even within striking distance. I mean, they're within, you know, grabbing hold of the people in front of them on the leaderboard distance. We'll see FSC slow walk into the Tower of Babel. Potentially join this fight. Again, kind of a classic conversation. You don't want to be the team to scam, so you really do need to take a look at, check every corner, check every angle. We do see a champagne bottle picked up by Mango's team, who's been slowly but surely finding some nice loot across the map, being mostly out of some of the engagements we saw in the last couple maps.
Spades right now, doing donuts, circling around. Very exciting.
Yeah, this Loco team maybe are just going to play trap on exit. They are, I mean, all of these teams are very obviously extremely patient. That's at least one word for it. But they could just play the fact that they know these teams are going to come back out of the Tower of Babel in theory. Of course, we have the dog tag extract at the top of the Tower of Babel, but they may just try to play for whoever comes out.
Ooh.
Nice.
Okay, kills all.
Hey, wait a minute. Is there an extra digit in there? That's 2.1 mil. I want to say it's 210K. I forgot what that item's called. I think it's called like the server or something like that. I'll get production to help me out with it here in a bit. But that's 2.1 mil. That is a nice find. Oh, totally off. That's the military radar. Great guess for me, though. 2.1 mil. Nice find military radar. That will take up the entire safe box. So this player really doesn't have to do anything else with even their lack of backpack if they don't want it. They might trade it off to their teammates. Make sure that they're all appropriately looted. But that's going to stay in the safe box. Absolutely. 2.1 mil is a huge value add for Inc.
Way to kick things off. And as you kind of look at our operators that are chosen for, once again, a non-MandelBrick round, you do have a Stinger coming in, you got a Hack Claw, we have Nox, and I know you were kind of talking about Nox not necessarily being kind of one of the most favored in the current meta for that to happen, but I think it's nice if you're just focused on kind of looting up and then prioritizing taking that early extract.
Yeah, agreed. Could see a player take some loot out. But again, if you fill up your safe box, you don't have to worry about getting out of the lobby. It really comes down to when your team is kind of full. That's when you might stack a player with all the loot that you have. Make sure you all get out, and then the two players can go around and play spoiler. SFC, as expected, they're sitting on kind of the exit of the Tower of Babel. I don't think they're going to engage in this fight if it ever does happen at the Tower of Babel. The fight that will most likely actually happen is going to be back in Museum. POI is just not near as big as the Tower of Babel. We'll take a glance over there while we pay attention to our map. So far, the two teams obviously know each other, are inside the museum, so they're slow playing this as well. As AKA is just running around on the north side of the map, picking up all the loot they can find as well. You see them third overall in this map alone on the leaderboard on the left at 1.1 mil. Here we go.
Opening shots coming in, the poke, the prod, the everything. Whirlwind disc going out. Want to see if that's going to connect or at least kind of live there to try and favor off any push. But this is just a long range fight here. You see Baby B on the other side, just kind of peeking through. Can we connect?
Yeah, this is one of the classic fights in Brakkesh in the Tower of Babel. This is one that we've seen on broadcast a ton. I'm sure for those that play Brakkesh a lot, have played this fight before. A long sightline with bulletproof glass on the side. So it's kind of just about who makes the first mistake or connects the first headshot and what weapons you're using potentially to find the angle. Oh, there was a chance there. Players dropping down. You're going to watch these two teams likely play this extremely slow. And then if a team gets a knock, you can actually just see their opponent through the glass. So you can push pretty aggressively to play a closer angle when it's a 3v2. Off screen, though, it does look like finally Black and Yellow has found an angle on Jack Tan and Handsome back in that museum fight I was talking about. We'll swap over there as needed, depending how close that fight is to breaking out fully between the two teams.
Well, Inc. right now cannot afford to go down, considering this is a race towards the asset value. Since we haven't had anyone be able to grab a MandelBrick, Inc. is going to have the highest risk here with that 2.5 million. Now, granted, 2.1 of that is likely in a safe box.
That's right.
Black and Yellow, though, shows on up in JTH. The patience is trying to pay off, but it's Zomo, last alive, looking for the final player. The beatdown might occur. JTH
My goat sing song with a triple. What in the world? I think black and yellow ran out of ammo. And because of that, ran around trying to knife in the air. Holy cow. What a win from Sing Song. Clutched it up in the Delta Force Elite Invitational. Top fragger for that team. MVP for that team. And he does it again when they needed it most here in Game 3. Should be able to get the revives, no problem. You're going to be seeing JTH back all together again after a nice win over black and yellow. Wow, what a fight to win. As we swing back to this fight, there was a trading of blows, a couple revives. As Mingo is just poking and prodding, like you mentioned, at Ink.
That was so tough. That was so tough. Dude was so low just trying to hang on there. But that clutch pays dividends, right? 900,000 is going to go to their way just from that engagement alone, which is the majority of more of what people have looted here. Like Mengu's only at 1.3 mil. And if you add the 273 plus the kills that you just got, look, you're living large.
Absolutely living large. Early engagement, just a knockdown, but in trouble. Spades finds the off angle. Looks like over the top angle, actually, to finish off that knockdown and make it a full knock and now a full kill. It's a nice pickup here for Spades to make it a 3v2. Finally, SFC said, fine, we will do it ourselves. Instead of third partying, they just walked in and took this 3v3, making it a 3v2. The question is, where is Mingo's team, and will they get a piece of this action as well and wrap around the other side? I think they're a bit too worried about the long angle, not knowing maybe that they should have a free rotation to join this party if they want to.
I love that we're kind of like working on our magnetic bomb cooldown. You constantly, every so many seconds, just kind of throw it on out there, making sure in case they do decide to push, but too easy here. Triple Blaster is going to be great for this kind of doorway that you can keep the pressure onto them, which is tough. SFC clearly fresh off a fight, wants to get aggro. And I respect that because now they know they've got the player advantage, 3v2, and it's not like Ink is going to be able to just kind of run on up, grab their homie, and get on out.
Yeah, you might have to sacrifice this one and just try to get out of the map if you got decent loot. But again, you're right. It's in the safe box. It doesn't matter. 2.1 mil was that military radio, so there's really no reason to leave. As expected, Articuno finally finding some decent loot off screen. They have the entire north side of the map to themselves, so they're just going to be looting up. 276k is nice. Mengu's team surprisingly not getting involved here.
Ooh. I mean, Loco had what, 11 kills from their semifinals that ended early, which that goes to say something because I was talking about Killzall, who had, I believe, around 13, and they went the distance. So Loco knows how to take smart fights and put up numbers, and we got double Viren on this round, so we want to get into the thick of it. Yeah. Loco just kind of waiting for that opening, right? Maybe we see some magnetic bombs come on out.
Pretty surprised we're running double Viren this map. I agree, they have to play pretty aggressive to get nice usage out of it. That means they're not going to see a Viren for the rest of this tournament. Again, surprising because obviously, Viren is inside of the quote-unquote meta in terms of pubs. Customs, still super valuable. And oh yeah, I thought there was an angle there for a moment. That knockdown is so brutal to deal with. It's the reason that Ink is down to 2 players. So to have 2 versions of it, I think they were just waiting on the cooldown for it, shoot it out, and actually don't connect, at least the first one. But it's so brutal that it'd be nice to have in a MandelBrick round theoretically, but hey, I'm not the competitor, I'm just the yapper. See what they can do with it.
See, I would say MandelBrick round, but when you look at North America and how conservative they've been in those MandelBrick rounds, maybe they're just not putting the value of some of those assault operators onto that, right? So Viren for SFC must not be what they value, aside from like those engineers that we want to focus with on those rounds.
Yeah,
regardless, they could hit a dynamic propulsion and make a play off that, which sounds really aggressive and maybe too flashy. Could be fun though.
Oh, I like it. Gonna go for the flash. Could swing out on this. They know it connected. Gets scared, I think, from a triple blaster or just a nade. They don't make the play. With the door closed, Ink is scattering to the winds. They've got to hear the footsteps here. They got to know that this team just started sprinting for the hills. Now they're hot on their heels. In the meantime, by the way, I was going to give you an update on Jack Tan and Handsome, but the game's done it for us and production's done it for us. They're out of here. They got their team wipe. They got some solid loot, and they said, we'll see you later. We'll see you guys in Space City. They even tagged me in Discord and said, wait till you see us in Space City. Got something special cooked up. All right, boys, let's see what you can do. Nice team fight win in Brakkesh. And speaking of Brakkesh, we got some Lapua ammo and an AWM because this is not a MandelBrick round, which means it's an airdrop round, and AKA reaping the rewards.
Like playing the long game. They're constantly kind of starting that battle, right? They were at the bottom of the leaderboard through a couple rounds. Now 4.1 million obtained just in this round. Now siding out just ahead of them is going to be Ink, but also AKA is the team that is still trying to kind of wrap around them if they can. I want to see Baby B get involved. I want to see a crazy play.
There is a player right in front of Baby B. Oh, first AWM shot on main. Unfortunately misses. 60 MG. I'll have to conserve all of them. Would like to get a knock with it. It's 300k per kill. Of course,
I'm nervous because you hear it, right? You hear that shot. And the next thing you know is I'm not peeking that angle again. Heck, I'm not peeking at all. If I'm Ink, I'm out.
Yeah. Everybody knows the sound of an AWM. So when that shot even misses, you're right. They are out of here. AKA, I think they're splitting up some loot right now before they head out of this map. And again, I mean, you got to get out with the AWM. You can't stack ammo for the AWM. It's like you can't put it in your safe box. It's one of the rules in our long rule set. So you got to get out of the map with it. And so they're going to try to make their way out of this map. That middle extraction point outside of the new Tower of Babel is gone. Jack Tan and Handsome took it. The Ink's going to try to find a different way out of this map, maybe all the way to the north side if they can wrap around AKA, who are likely headed there as well. Inside of the Tower of Babel, we still have a fight on our hands this time between SFC and Mango. Again, surprised that Mango didn't get involved in the fight earlier. When they heard shots going down, they knew they weren't getting held, but instead they played patient. And who knows? Let's see if they're the reason, or rather their decision is the reason that they win this map.
Ooh. We'll have to think about how we're going to work our way on out of this. 5 minutes or so, just above, left in the match. In SFC, Spades with 1 kill throughout this entire game is just itching. I feel like they have been poising themselves to find a fight, and now that they find themselves here alongside Mengu on the opposites, it's got to happen. Someone has to open the door and make this fight.
Yeah, hey, look, I'm not telling you to Leroy Jenkins it, but let's get involved here. SFC, all team of 3. Mango, all team of 3. We're just going to run the clock down here. Reminder, to get out of this map, we either got to pull these levers, or we got to head to the north side of the map, or maybe the helipad. If you're going to head out of the extraction in the Tower of Babel, you got to have an ID tag. I believe it's limited spots as well, so I don't really know what we're waiting on here. Maybe assuming the opposition's going to make a play, AKA as expected. Going to get out of the top side of the map. Going to get here before Ink and take it. Nice play from them. They've got a pretty good game going, especially they got a military satellite. Nice job. Pretty solid loot. You can see their totals. This is across all maps on the left-hand side. But a pretty strong map for them. It looks like only 1 player. So that's what they were doing. They were stacking their loot on 1 player. They've dropped some loot up there on the north side of the map. And they're going to go try to play spoiler and just go play for kills. Reminder, each kill is a 300k. I don't think you've forgotten, but I want to remind you because it is important for these players. They're not losing all that much for not getting out. You can go make a play for a kill. Now, levers have been pulled, so we do have the extraction back active again, Tiff. Middle of the map, outside of the Tower of Babel. And it is just enough time. Literally 10-second spread between match timer and that extraction timer. We will see a fight at that extraction point.
Oh, 100%. You've got AKA that's kind of working towards that rotate over on that western side of things. And At least Ink does make it out with their duo, Baby B and Too Easy over there towards the eastern side of things. But will SFC hit a rotate, leave the Tower of Babel, and go for that extraction point as well? Or will they do some other things here?
I can only imagine everybody's going to play for this extraction point, and we will see at least an iota of action here in the final 3 minutes. But hey, I have wished for more in the past and haven't gotten it. Definitely going to see AKA make a play for this, though, to try to gatekeep.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a duo left, right? At least one player did already manage their way out, which is a very similar play to what we were witnessing in EU. I believe it was Fallen that would typically send a player home early, back to the lobby, safe and sound, and then the other two would just wreak havoc, which I'm okay with. I do love a little bit of disruption, especially if you're looking to work on the way out on this extraction point. But the time is just going to keep on ticking down. And it'll be a scramble.
Yeah, AKA's got it to angle over the top of the extraction point. They can creep a little bit further up. It's a very long angle, frankly. They do have one. SFC is going to rotate. If we can take a quick look at the map view here, you're going to see some of the teams rotating out. Mingo's actually rotated out the reservoir area side of this extraction point. SFC on the west side. Here's the overhead look at it. At the very least, SFC on the left side, Mango on the right side. Two members of Ink on the right side as well. Here's the first encounter, AKA just on the north, holding SFC. It is a 2v3, though, remember. Favoring SFC.
All right, Grimmy. Hitting a sprint out here. Double Viren. Ready to see some action, and Mengu getting closer. These two will likely be the first couple people that run into each other, so you have to keep tabs onto Ink, but at least you do have Hat Claw, which is giving you the information that there are 3 players lurking in the midst, and you immediately take some shots, but not before that inevitable flash. I think I just saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
About to see the light at the end of their life right now. SFC, a nice hold and magnetic bomb over the top. Unfortunately, isn't able to explode in time. Forces Mingu back, though. 39 seconds on the clock. 26 seconds on the extraction point. If you want to get out of this map, you better make a move for it. Mengu has an angle for it. Loco's playing on the extraction, Spades on the off angle to play the trade. They should be able to do it. Through the smoke, though. A couple connects. They got hit markers. They know they're there. Ink is able to trade out one. From the offside, there's 7 seconds. You better sprint. Let's see how many people hit it just in the nick of time. Here we go. Ink making a run for it, and they get punished for it. Mangu holding. They pick up a couple. AKA on the offside. They wanted to play spoiler. They're able to do it for a couple players, and a couple people get out. It is only 2 members of SFC, Grimmy and Spades, out of this map. Everybody else in a bloodbath in the final seconds, and only a couple people getting paid. Ooh, that was a weird one. Gotta say, missed opportunity for a lot of teams. They moved way too late.
Yeah, but is this... You gotta talk about JTH here. They were one of the teams that decided to send all 3 out early on and just be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm taking my loot. I'm gonna make my score up, and I'm gonna focus forward. And decisions like that actually put you near towards the top of the leaderboard based on how this lobby has been playing out. At least 2 members of SSC were able to get out on that extraction. I think it was Spades and Grimmy there at the very end. And maybe a couple kills traded hands, so people were getting 300k per kill at the end.
Yeah, I think a couple kills, but you got to remember, you got to get them all the way down. You got to finish your kill for those points to tally up. So yeah, I agree. We saw AKA pick up a couple. So overall, the right decision to send 1 out of the lobby. The other 2 didn't have any loot, so go make a play for kills. They pick up a couple. They spoil a couple. SFC, frankly, are the ones that get the last laugh because they get 2 players out of the map in the final seconds, and nobody else was able to. Mingu was just a hair too timid. They had a pretty good position. SFC just gets there first, set up the trap, we're able to execute on it. So a nice job from them. Here's a quick look back on the replays from that map. There's a couple of them. We had a couple fights, namely this one right here where I thought John was going to go huge. Look at his ammo, though. He goes down, and it's Sing Song with no ammo, gets the reload in time. everybody running out of ammo, but Jack Tan and Handsome winning that gunfight, and because of that, likely winning the map in overall points. They get out early, like you talked about, Tiff. A nice play from them.
Yeah, smart moves like that. Then you got AKA over here immediately focusing there on Ink from across the way. As soon as you hear that AWM shot go off, they're like, no, I want no part of that. They rotate on out. And this is where things start to get interesting. It's all surrounding this extraction point. And we do see Baby B pick up a player of Mangu. So that's going to be one. It's completely fooled. And good, you get into the mix. You start hip firing throughout the fire. Brilliant in the smoke and keep on moving. Baby B on 3 before he goes down.
Yeah, that was actually pretty significant. I love that we get a chance to look back on that in the replays. 3 kills is 900K. That's almost 1 million just from raw kills at the end. So Infant Baby going insane in the last couple seconds of the map. A great shot from you, Tiff. Big pickups for that team in terms of our leaderboard. Reminder, our leaderboard is insanely close going into this past map. So that 900K could delineate whether you're in second right now or 5th, maybe even last. Who knows? It is all that close. But we're getting into our first MandelBrick round, or at least the second MandelBrick round, the first chance for a MandelBrick right now, because nobody has one. Map 4 right around the corner. You're not going to want to miss it. I think we're going to see some crazy action around this MandelBrick. We are headed to Space City. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers, North American Regional Finals. Last map, a little bit more active, at least towards the end, and a tight spread across the top at the very least, aka in match 3 take the lead in just this match with several kills and getting out with some loot. Their strategy paid off with Jack Tan and Handsome very close behind just from match 3 here, Tiff.
Look, this is exactly what they were focusing on, right? Just getting out with that 5 million early on. They just said, I'm done. I've done what I needed to do. We clutched up in a fight. We're taking an early exit. And surprisingly, we did have some nice moments throughout our safe boxes, because think about the amount of people that were left on the map there towards the very end. So you know that they kept all those valuables there. Smart, right? But I would love to see some action where they can get some nice kills early on and maybe vie for that MandelBrick as we move on to our second one of the day.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, you can take a look. Ink as well, Infant Baby on that squad with a couple wipes towards the end, did jump up the leaderboard to 3rd just because of those kills. It was like 1.2 mil in total from that last engagement, which does push them up into 2nd place overall. This is our overall leaderboard halfway through this tournament, which is wild to say. We're 3 maps done and dusted. Nobody has a MandelBrick. It's all about loot value, and therefore, Jack Tan and Handsome, top of the leaderboard, but only by a small margin. That's 1.7 mil or so, a little bit less than that, separating these two teams at the top, and everybody else is close behind. Even Mangu, who's technically in last, really not that much of a spread. Obviously, MandelBrick changes everything, but even just in loot value, this is still very much so anyone's game, Tiff.
I think this was brilliant for Jack Tan and Handsome, now seeing them at the top of the overall leaderboard for taking the early exit in that match to make sure that they played for this. Because at the end of the day, if they don't get a MandelBrick, they're still working on keeping themselves playing that long game, playing for 2nd if they can.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about too, I'm going to call myself out a little bit because I think I made a small error in one of the calls. One of the things I said was like, oh, loot value is extremely important, maybe even more important than MandelBricks. Well, actually, the reverse is really the truthful statement, because we only have 3 maps left. MandelBrick is now everything. There's only 3 MandelBricks that anybody can get at all, which means if you get a MandelBrick in this map, you are 100% certain getting top 3 at minimum, which is a huge, huge boon when top 2 make land. You've got to play for MandelBricks in this round, and you've got to decode this MandelBrick with enough time. Tiff, if what happens in game 2 on Brakkesh happens again here in Space City, then it really will be you get a MandelBrick, you make land, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, honestly, if you could say that again, because my brain literally can't process the fact that one singular MandelBrick could potentially happen. Let's go ahead. Let's look at our operators. Let's see what's been used so we can kind of theory craft on what could potentially come into play here for teams like Black and Yellow. They completely used up Shepard, used up Nox, and now going into this triple MandelBrick series that on the back half, we oftentimes see a lot of Saniva, a lot of Luna, and then like the inklings of a toxic D-Wolf and Viren, which AKA completely burnt their Virens out.
Yeah, again, they burned them out in the same round, which I thought was super interesting. Also worth looking at, Mango's spread is probably the most interesting to me. In 3 games, they've depleted 3 operators fully, which is wild. That's an interesting strategy. It does seem like they are prioritized leaving Saniva, Luna, Shepard, some of the operators we've been talking about that are super valuable for MandelBrick rounds for these last 3 MandelBrick rounds. You could watch Mangu make a late tournament resurgence and absolutely make a play for one of these MandelBricks in these next 3 rounds. I'm excited about this roster. Let's see what they're able to do. Black and Yellow, decently even spread across the board, keeping their options open. It's super fun to theory craft because we're just at the beginning of this esport. And there is no meta way to play this yet. EU played totally different from North America. North America playing totally different operator choices. Every team playing this slightly differently. But with 3 maps to go, you've got to get a MandelBrick. And folks, we all love a good Space City map, and we're on Space City for the rest of this tournament. Whether we play 2 more or we play all 3 of these next maps, Tiff, I'm pumped about it. Let's see where everybody spawns in Space City and who goes where.
Oh, get us into it. Maybe we'll have some crazy fights, but everyone relatively positioned towards their area. We're equal distance around that. But you can see black and yellow, AKA, and even JTH are getting involved in trying to set their footprint early on where that MandelBrick will spawn. Now, Goj, was it JTH is the ones that messaged you and said, hey, just wait till Space 80, wait till we show out?
Yeah, I mean, hey, they showed out in the DFEI. It's the reason they won the competition was the Space City round. So, hey, look, I'll take it from them. We'll see if they're able to execute on their game plan. They're going to be playing through chamber here, what I call the southeastern quadrant of the middle of the map. I said this during EU. You basically have the four corners style around this MandelBrick when it spawns here in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. You can see that timer in the middle of your screen on the map view. Can't pick it up until that timer is done. Everybody lays claim to a building in this quadrant. There's a couple of decoding stations that have been really fun to watch. By the way, while we've been yapping, Killzall and that Ink squad decides not to play around the MandelBrick, and they've actually found, I think it was 2 drives worth about 227K a piece. So a nice early lead on the overall asset category.
Something to note here is that Ink is one of the only teams to kind of come in with full gold armor. So it's like they're geared up to take a ton of people down or really chow for that initial MandelBrick, since that first one in match number 2 was pretty much scrapped. I think this is the first time we're actually going, I say this, but all of these teams could be positioning to your right, coexist by the MandelBrick and dare someone else to grab it.
AKA just running up the middle. They're going to take the middle position of the map. Be curious to look at their perspective as we take a look at black and yellow, JTH, all moving towards this MandelBrick, all moving to a position to try to take it. AKA has taken the middle. Ink's actually found spades on an off angle on the right side of the map. Here's a look, potentially, at that encounter. It seems like Ink just wipes spades as well, so he's going to be on yellow timer. There's the encounter. I was taking a look on the map, and SFC's been playing this bridge the whole time. This is one of the longest sight lines in the game, and Ink is punishing them with the loot they brought in. TTK is going to be real fast in this one. Yes, we're going to see gold armor, purple armor for some of these teams, but we also see tier 5 ammo. We're going to be frying.
Oh, no, they're solid gold. I will say JTH did bring in some gold ammo as well, but didn't really prioritize the gold armor. Only one player has the gold helmet and armor. So Killzall here. Solid gold. Quickly dispensing of that. And honestly, I love that we're kind of pushing up to where we found spades, because that would mean that the rest of SFC is likely lurking around here.
In the meantime, by the way, everybody's lying in wait around that MandelBrick. Don't worry, we'll swap if it gets mixy. You'll see the MandelBrick able to be picked up here right now. There it is. See if anybody's moving towards it. Yes, black and yellow immediately move towards it. Don't waste an iota of a moment. Grab the MandelBrick and run for their lives. They're trying to get this MandelBrick into a decoding station quickly, as the rest of these teams are moving slowly. This time around, folks, there is no waiting. Black and yellow heard the call and said, let's get active. We're trying to win this tournament. We're trying to make it to LAN in China. Let's get mixy. And they're going to swing way outside. And they're actually skipping this decoding station. No way. Yet again, a new station on main stage. We're headed all the way up to the dormitories, and look who's already there. They spawned there. They've been hanging out there. Mangu playing this decoding station. This is going to be fun.
I'm nervous because I can't remember if this is the team that decided to go down the west gate, but you see the util is going to come out immediately. And they could have waited a bit longer until they were a more like precarious situation, and then it easily picked them up, because all that does is send off the warning bells, send black and yellow down and out, and they're like, okay, this was not a good move for us. So now where do we go? Do we go to the one that's kind of in that entryway just across from the buoyancy lab, or do we decide to go to Black Chamber? Black Chamber is going to be pretty difficult to go to, and I think this is going to be the one that will likely be the focus.
Yeah, this is the one that we've seen most oftentimes because it's the closest to the decoding station. They just took the longest possible route to get there. MandelBrick goes into the decoding station. Here we go. Now, as a reminder, too, if you didn't watch EU, Space City, if you haven't seen this in a while, this decoding station, extremely hard to lock down. You basically have two choices. Either play in this front building, or front side of this building, or the back side of this building. And it looks like black and yellow are trying to do a little bit of both. With nobody here early on the decode, they can kind of set up however they want. You're going to have AKA over the top. JTH, Jack Tan, and Handsome down below. Zomo catches the wrong end of a couple bullets. Decides to back up a little bit. Asking for some help to play these trades.
Okay, but I mean, we still have it. And honestly, we've seen players play from this position before. You just kind of anchor down in this building. These doors are going to provide some information, right? As soon as you kind of maybe, if you need to shut them, you can, but you know JTH is here. You've already sent out the warning shots. If I'm JTH, I'm backing up for the time being. I don't want to be the team that has that first kind of initial battle here. Let someone else open that up. And hopefully someone does waltz into this so it allows you to take that third party.
I think it's a great shout, Tiff. We've only seen a team get a free decode on this station one time. And that free decode was not the winning moment, but it was the moment that set MandelBrick Addiction from EU up for the win. They were given a decode for free for some reason. People said, no, we'll get it in the next one. And unfortunately, the next one, MandelBrick Addiction got that as well and win the whole tournament. So I don't think North America will let this one fly. Not for free. Information gained by AKA. Articuno over the top. Bulletproof glass. We're going to find the full team of 3. Watch which way they're rotating. We're going to have to play this decode. Black and yellow. Still plenty of time. 2 minutes on the clock. Patience a virtue, but at some point it's going to come back to bite you here, Tiff.
I mean, plenty of time. Under 2 minutes. It's very similar to what we saw in match number 2, right? No one was looking to get involved, but at least from this line of sight here, you can kind of look towards where we could potentially see some things. Ink now on the move. I think we wrap around this and kind of focus on. For JTH, looks like teams are starting to rotate in. SFC, the duo.
They've got a knock on SFC, so this is huge to get the cleanup, which they should be able to do so. Hopefully a couple frags could do it rather than using gun, but either way, it looks like our crawling players actually made it inside. A little bit too late, a little bit too slow on the draw for JTH. Let me draw your eyes back to the top middle of the screen. 60 seconds for black and yellow on the clock. Does look like Loco eventually bled out there. Could be able to get the revive, but JTH knows, hey, we got to make a play for this MandelBrick. Black and yellow are giving a MandelBrick for free right now if we don't make a play, and Mango's thinking a lot of the same. They're going to come up from the low side. Infant Baby could play spoiler to this team, but you really want Mango's team to get into the mix and go make a play for the steal, and then you come in third, like you mentioned, Tiff. Everybody converging on this point, but we are running out of daylight. Somebody's got to make the first move, and whoever does may get punished for it, but they may save the day before black and yellow take an early lead with the MandelBrick.
And you have Skies kind of watching this first door that's going to be closest to the member of Mengu. So knowing that that door is likely going to open the moment they hear something, and there it goes. Skies on out. You can hit the detection arrow and then start throwing down the Volt arrows as well. But we're going to prioritize the Volt, save the detection for later.
10 seconds.
And now, just have to anchor down. You grab the knock on a Zomo. You immediately pop onto it. Do you have enough time to go ahead and steal it? There it goes. Locked in. 3:30 on the clock.
Holy cow, Mango goes absolutely insane. Ice is up in the moment and steals the decode. The timer reset, but Mango not done. They feel like they're hot, and they are, so they're going to push this equation. They swing over and unfortunately get punished by Loco. January, no, Articuno. AKA win the gunfight. Mango might have stolen it and saved the day against black and yellow, but they get punished. They overheated. They get cut down. The first team to get eliminated in this map.
Someone's going to have to steal it, though, because if it does go through on the decoding, it likely will not, and it will get thrown away because they are fully wiped. For AKA, a nice bit of steadiness for the time being. And JTH, they have answered the call. They heard the fight, and Equal sent straight around to get lasered. Articuno picks up 2. Equal and Nowhere, both down and out. Oh, my God.
AKA coming alive. Now, the funny note is that Mengu's technically the team that has the decode going here at 2.5 minutes. There is no rush for anyone. Worst case scenario, nobody steals it. Mengu doesn't even get the brick because they're full wipe. Just nobody gets the brick. Of course, that will not happen, but there isn't a rush, and there's plenty of time on the clock. AKA gonna loot up, grab what they can on bodies nearby. 60 MG is way too far away. They've been doing this as a duo. We've seen January and Articuno do crazy things on main stage before. But this is a highlight level map waiting to be finished out by them if they can pick up a couple more kills.
Okay, I see some reses coming on through. But for now, SFC will be a duo. Black and yellow looking to get their homie back on up. You can see that timer going up. We're getting closer to picking skies up. You can see AKA in the back, moving closer towards the decoding station, and smokes on out. Not actually going to pop on it just yet. You have Ink down this line of sight that will be difficult to contend with.
Oh no! As they had the angle, January, you are so lucky a couple of those bullets didn't connect. Able to stay alive for a moment. No, gets punished. Zomo peeks out the door, takes down Jan, just overextends there for a moment. They wanted to steal the decode, but they had plenty of time. They didn't have to force it, but as a duo, they get punished. Articuno now the last remaining player for AKA, so we swing over to Killzall's angle. He's got an angle on the door. If black and yellow sell by overextending here, he's going to punish them. I think he hears some footsteps down below as well. Gonna try to get some info with the guided missile. Wait, there's one running out. He connects on it. Drops Zomo. Says, you're not stealing anything, my friend. Take a missile to the face. Aluru coming in clutch as he makes a play through the smoke. He's got a time. 30 seconds on the clock. He should be able to steal this here. Ink now in charge of the MandelBrick, but everybody knows he's there.
Second place hailing from the regional semifinals in Group A. And now JTH said, let me get involved on Space City, and look who shows on out. We do see Nowhere kind of fall right there towards the end, but not before they were able to grab a knock onto Killzall.
Ink in a bit of trouble. Killzall, the hero to steal the decode. As a reminder, the decoding, every time it's stolen, drops the starting timer by 30 seconds. So it was 3.5 for the first steal, 3 minutes for the second steal. We're at 2.5 currently. If it gets stolen, it'll jump back up to 2.5. It'll keep decreasing on every steal. Minimum, though, 1 minute and 30 seconds. 7 minutes on the clock. We've got plenty of time for multiple steals here, but we'll pay attention to those timers as the teams try to recuperate, recover, Ink back on their feet, and technically in control. No one having to move too early here as Jack 10 and Handsome get to a power position to hold the store.
JTH and Ink are the only trios left alive. You know JTH is kind of thinking, hey, black and yellow, there's potential for them to still be inside. Ink is down here just a bit farther. That's going to be that team of 3. And then you have one member of SFC lurking. You can see about half health down there towards the middle.
He's actually down below in the middle. You're right. So he's going to be hanging out. It looks like he doesn't even have all the meds he needs to get back to full health, if I'm reading that correctly. Yeah. Which is insane. So just going to try to play spoiler to somebody and pick up 300k. JTH, albeit they don't have the code currently, Ink does. They are probably in the most powerful position. They have the best angle. They have control over the alleyway here. They can make a play for this brick right now if they want to. There's only one player that can spoil it. It's Killzall. Nice shot over the top. Make sure no guided missiles are hitting you. Of course, the swarm comes in. It's going to start depleting your health. And he doesn't get the decode?
No, we popped off at the moment the swarm came in and connected.
Oh, I thought he was just going to commit to it.
It's not like they have any smokes to make use of that. And they keep on trying. 37 seconds to go. Ink could potentially another incendiary coming on through. We try to go for it, but we lose our life in the process. Equal and Nowhere, the last 2 members for the time being of that team, but it's Killzall. Just the lineups are so crazy for him in terms of those incendiaries.
Okay, JTH, they jump it. They get it. They at least reset it, but they get punished for it. And so does Bay. Black and yellow down to a solo. Black and yellow out of here. The perfect setup from Infant Baby. The perfect setup from Ink. They have maintained control over this alleyway with the long angle of the incendiaries. Sing Sung almost stole it on the first take. But the incendiary did just enough damage. That last tick took him out before he got the steal, which means as he went in and died, Equal also had to go in and die and get knocked at the very least. Unreal. Nowhere, the last remaining player on their feet for now, but they do have control of the brick currently. Jack Tan and Handsome just buying a little extra time on the map, getting their revive. They're going to be a duo fighting a full team of 3 of Ink.
Yeah, but Killzall is going for it right now. We know that JTH is focusing on getting their teammates back on up, but what they do is they extend on out through the hallway and decide, okay, we're going to hand on it now. So we still have this 2v3.
Nice. Ink's jumped the body, jumped Sing Song's body, taking control, and Infant Baby is taking the power position in this alleyway. They know there's a lot of teams out of this map. We can play a little bit more aggressive when we have player advantage. They're going to swing on this fight. You're going to need a hero play from Jack Tan and Handsome, or Ink is going to be your first team. They get the knock. 1 down. It's a 3v1. If they play this correctly, they play over the top. They don't even need the help. They find one. But Grimmy's comes in from behind. We knew he'd play spoiler. He's got to win a 1v3. Jack Tan and Handsome are out of this lobby. Ink in control of the MandelBrick right now, but plenty of time. Grimmy, as a solo, going to have to be the hero. Picks up 1.
1v2.
Full wiped. 2 players remaining. Getting nervous.
Plenty of time to make this work. Plenty of time. We just need to isolate them. If you're Ink, as long as you stay together, this should be a fight that you can take and win. Reminder here.
Here we go.
They came in fully kitted out with gold, mostly gold ammo, but it doesn't even matter. He finds 2 easy. Grimmy looking for a clutch.
Through the smoke, finds the other. Does he win the 1v3, Grimmy? He is him. He is the hero. He waited, lied in wait. He is the alligator, the crocodile snapping at your ankles, wipes all 3 players, steals the brick, and there's enough time. My neighbors can hear me right now. Unbelievable job from Grimmy. Perfect patience, perfect breaking sight lines to isolate the 1v3s into 1v1s. Unbelievable job. This kid is different.
This is the true definition of absolute cinema as we run that back, because I don't think we can see it enough.
This is what I'm talking about. He got the first knock through the smoke, finds the second, realizes the second player is behind him to the right. He breaks line of sight and then re-chows it. And Infant Baby wasn't ready for it. Unreal wipe. Full team of 3 down and enough time to get the decode. Grimmy is just loving life right now. He doesn't technically know that the entire lobby is wiped. He's got to stay looking at this decoding station just to make sure. But oh my goodness. A hero amongst the plebeians of this map. This man just went absolutely massive, Tiff. And
I have no words for it either.
You've got to expect, too, that Ink, after their wipe on Jack Tan and Handsome, were like, we've done it, boys. Perfectly executed. Because they played it perfect till this guy showed up.
Oh, as soon as you push on a JTH and you're literally keeping them in that corner, the MandelBrick secured 4 kills for him, 1.2 million in asset value right there. And not only that, but you get to run through every single body that is left on the ground with just a minute amount of time, right? And I don't think we're getting out of here, and that's okay. Because you know what you can do? You have some stuff for your safe box.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you find some decent ammo, actually. Yeah, you're right. You get out with only your safe box. So whatever you can stuff in there, you're going to lose everything else. Some ammo, maybe some parts potentially. Actually, I don't think you put parts in there. So it's just going to be ammo or any loot that some of these players weren't able to put in their safe box. The ammo box is going to be easily the most valuable. ID tags also have inherent value in our tournament format, so might as well take those as well. I think they're a couple 100K, actually. And swapping things into your bag at this point won't make a difference. It's all about that safe box, but gonna do some mathematical calculations we've all done before. The loot Tetris. We got the full gambit. We got the full operations gameplay loop. Hero 1v3s, making the lobby look like pubs, and then the loot Tetris at the end, and a MandelBrick decode. Cinema's a great word for it, Tiff.
Just cinema indeed. But here's the deal. When we get back to the lobby, what is it going to look like for our players that have lost the fight here? How much value did we lose knowing that it was so close on the leaderboard that it is going to come down to, God, it's going to be so close. Someone's going to have their heart broken. They're going to end up third. Sure, they're going to get some cash, but they're going to miss out on LAN. And that is what I am most nervous for, Goj.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous for them as well, especially with only 2 maps left. We now have a position, if you're SFC, first of all, you know, get Grimmy on the Supermax contract. Holy cow.
Yes.
That dude went insane for you. They're not 100% certainly into the finals on LAN in China in a month's time. They're not 100% there. But if the odds, if you can spread them, I mean, probably like 75% of the way there, right? You would have to have 2 other teams pick up the MandelBricks in these next 2 rounds, and they both have to have more loot value than you. So the question really is, looking back on these replays, if you're SFC, you now play a defensive game where you play for loot value only. If you play for total assets and let the map play out and just try to assure yourself a top 2 spot. I don't know what their gameplay is, but either way, a banger of a map. And it started here, black and yellow. Fortune favors the bold usually, not this time though. They are the team that grabbed the MandelBrick. They start running. They try to go to a different decode station. Mangu's holding them. They go, fine, we'll do it here again. And then it was utter chaos in the alleyway.
I love that they ran for dormitory and immediately you have the util package coming in on them. And then this is where things start to get dicey. Look at that kill feed. The trades going back and forth. Grimmy picks up a couple straight onto AKA, and then AKA focuses on Mengu, and it just starts collapsing altogether. JTH puts some pressure on AKA originally, and I was really loving that. However, you see the regain come through for JTH, and they initially do get on up here. And that's not going to happen for another couple of minutes because, well, that was tough for AK. Nice.
Yeah,
there.
It was tough. I think they just got a little too overexcited after some nice team fight wins. Push too far up onto these boxes, get punished for it. But this is the moment where I was talking about Sing Song. I think a single tick away from just stealing it there. And because he wasn't able to steal it, we had to send a second player up to go take the steal. Nowhere does end up getting this revive, but then it's a 3v2. And Ink had been lying in wait, playing extremely patiently. So they took their time. They knew everybody, quote unquote, most everybody was done. They're able to wipe this team, and now they're celebrating. Unfortunately, here comes the man, the myth, the legend himself. There's the first take, a super important one. A 3v1, nearly impossible. You find one that can't shoot back because you catch him unaware. Bang. Now you got to isolate your twos. You do that with smoke, break the cover, then the reach out. Moves different. Not even playing Viren. Didn't need that extra propulsion. Just swings out and wins the fight. Steals the brick and wins the map. SFC, you're winners of that map because they got the MandelBrick. I have no idea what's in people's safe boxes, but it's all Grimmy all day.
All Grimmy all day. Is that gonna be our new motto here
It's
of
mine
the
now.
regional finals at NNA? Because it kind of has to be, right? If you find yourself in a month's time sitting on LAN in China competing for $500,000, you think back to this exact moment that Grimmy 1v3s grabs the MandelBrick with like 20 seconds to spare. That is an insane moment in time that you are gonna have to relive every now and then when we get to China.
Yeah, job's not done, but certainly got yourselves a lot closer, folks. I got to take a break in the booth. I know you all need a break after that map. We finally got the action we were waiting on. We got 2 more maps and only 2 spots going to land. You're not going to want to miss these last 2 maps. Space City again until we finish the day right around the corner. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Begging for mercy. How pitiful.
Breaking us to pieces. Try too hard to stay up. Oh, what a mess we made.
Hey operators, welcome to the Delta Force Summer Festival. This summer, we've prepared a series of special events for our overseas players. First up, starting July 9th, the bi-weekly Summer Challenge officially begins. You can earn October Challenge points by using specific operators in Warfare or Operations. And here's a sneak peek at the upcoming operator schedule for Summer Challenge. In the Summer Challenge store, you can exchange 600 Operator Challenge points or Tempest spray paint or name card, 800 Operator Challenge points for the summer-themed avatar or calling card, Now, let's talk about the Summer Pass, which is available from July 9 to August 7. Just play matches across both modes and accumulate playtime to claim the SV98 Forest Hunter appearance, plus 20 armament voucher draws. And starting from the second week, special accelerated quests will help you level up your Summer Pass faster. But that's not all. From July 25 to August 14, complete concurrent warfare events to earn naval battle medals, which you can exchange for naval battle-themed vehicle appearances at the Navy Blue store. That's all for the Delta Force Summer Festival preview. More events and rewards await in the new season break, available from July 9.
Welcome back, Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers, North American Regional Finals. We are having a banger, folks, and Match 4 just got wrapped up. And obviously the score is pretty close after the fourth match because really nobody got out of the map. And by really, I mean everybody. No, not one person, Jeff, got out of the map. And because of that, a decently even spread across the board. But of course, we've got to draw our eyes to that MandelBrick column. SFC on the back of Grimmy by himself gets that MandelBrick, puts them at the top of the leaderboard regardless of total assets, sets them up for success to make land.
Yeah, this is also the team that came in as the winner from Group B in the semifinals, just semi-regional finals last weekend. They had the 2 MandelBricks and 29 mil in loot, so we know they know how to absolutely destroy a lobby. And if it's on the back of Grimmy in match number 4, then it definitely is. And a nice 2.5 mil in assets there, aka close behind them, you know, ahead of the assets, just minus a MandelBrick. So kind of unfortunate there in black and yellow, and pretty nicely despite not being able to finish off the Decode. So close. First to the jump as soon as the MandelBrick got there and almost pulled it off.
Yeah, almost pulled it off. Gotta take a look at the overall leaderboard and see where everybody lands. Of course, SFC is going to be at the top regardless of loot value. They do have double digits, though, but just about everybody does. That's how close this competition has been. SFC, at the top because of the MandelBrick. Jack Tannen Handsome technically in second place, but again, less than 3 million separating second and third. This is absolutely anyone's ball game. And so we've got to set the stakes with a leaderboard this tight across the board, even front to bottom. I mean, Mengu even could absolutely make a leap up into second place just on loot value in this next one. Tiff, we got to set the stakes. If SFC win map 5 by getting the MandelBrick, tournament over, SFC making it, and then second place will be based on loot value. So there's two sides of a coin going into this map. Do you play for loot value? Do you play for the brick? I think you've got to do a little bit of both.
It depends on if someone's going to grab the brick right off the rip again. Like if black and yellow, as soon as that timer is up and it spawns, they rip it and ship it straight to a decode station, then it kind of changes your course of action and what you plan on doing. Like if you were gonna just loot up and wait until someone grabs a MandelBrick and starts to decode it before you fight for it so you can kind of play both sides, then that's really unfortunate because you can't guarantee that you know who is able to grab it as you look down through the rotation. Of course, we're gonna be sticking to Space City here. 2 more maps to go, 2 MandelBrick rounds. And with SFC and the ability to close it out here in match number 5, Goj, you're in the lobby right now. You're not. But if you were, where are we going?
Where are we going? I think wherever we spawn, I then sprint at the MandelBrick. You got to make a play for it. Here's a quick look at the operator usage across the board. We're seeing AKA, no Stingers, no Virons as per the usual. Hatclaw Nox gone for Ink. Saniva gone for Jack Tan and Handsome. That's all been the case for a while. But otherwise, a pretty even spread throughout the course of a lot of these operators preparing for these final 2 rounds. You still got Virons and Stingers and Toxics and Shepherds and Aluru for the top 2 teams, even SFC as well. Overall, nothing insane to write home about. I think the big ones are no Sanivas going to this for Jack Tan and Handsome, and no Stingers going into this for AKA and Black and Yellow. I mean, smokes are insanely valuable, but everyone has saved a Luna for map 5.
And I think that's going to be really important. You can see just how much those Volt arrows are prized, right? If you get some initial shots out, you can make those connections. And those Volts, if you hit, you automatically get that kind of layer of information of there's still a player over there. And it may not kind of outline them similar to the detection area, but I still think that those lineups are very important here. You can see just how much they can bank them through doorways, bank them around corners. And as we gear up for match number 5, so curious to see what we're going to be working with. I'd imagine a couple engineers across the board, a ton of gold armor, gold helmets, gold ammo. We're solid gold, baby, for match number 5.
Here we go. Quick look at the spawns, and as expected, you asked me what I would do, and it looks like everybody else is doing the same, or at least a couple of the teams. Mengu Inc. first to move towards the brick. JTH seemingly following as well. AKA getting there close by. SFC, the one team that's staying in Central Command and going for loot. Now, if anybody watched EU, I want to quickly remind you of what happened in that competition. Les Durance, one of the favorite teams going into the competition, was able to get the first MandelBrick in map 2. Because of that, they decided to play extremely slow and play for loot value to protect their place in the leaderboard. Unfortunately, by doing that, they allowed another team, MandelBrick Addiction, to get a MandelBrick for free. Then MandelBrick Addiction won the next map, getting the brick and winning the tournament, and they ended up falling out of the leaderboard. However, as much as that feels similar to what is potentially could happen here for SFC, it is much more unlikely for SFC to get knocked out of the leaderboard because we only have this map in one more, Tiff. With the lack of maps left, I think the right play for SFC is play for loot value. Hedge your bets that even if somebody else gets a brick, we're going to have more loot than them because we're not fighting and we're actually getting out of this map. But I think it'll kind of depend on what they find on the map. Got to find good loot to make good use of that plan.
You definitely have to. Keep your eyes on JTH. Played spoiler a lot and are already getting involved. Black and Yellow on the other side, and Sing Song here locked into the Shepherd. You can see we're starting to lob all that utility. Luna here on nowhere. You got the frags. We just expended 2 of them. You throw out the detection. You connect with 1. Still have 2 Volt arrows lying in wait, and we're going to start stringing them together.
Yeah, extremely weak. You got an advantage, but I don't think they want to pressure this because they are a bit afraid that they'll sell it. It's just a tough fight to take. We're going to back up a little bit. Both teams deciding to play this nice and slow. A nice depleting of resources while some of our teams are looting off in the distance. Mengu finding a nice disc for about 230k.
Not bad to focus on that considering how tight that leaderboard is, right? So it's like you still have to play the best of both worlds here because it's oh, now I can't even say SFC goes. We're kind of getting here a little tongue tired. It's like they're just out here trying to do it. Tell me what it stands for at this point. Is it going to be some fun little thing kind of like JTH? But if they're up in Central Command, if I'm them, I don't want to descend down from there. Focus on getting some loot up on the board, right? As soon as you get the call that MandelBrick and has spawned, someone has picked it up, then maybe decide to work on throughout. But now, into the map we go. Will someone run straight at it like we saw Black and Yellow in match number 4?
And MandelBrick is active. You can grab it. It doesn't look like an immediate pickup this time. Everybody playing a little bit safer. Jack 10 and Handsome is actually wrapping on the backside of Mingu right now through the alleyway where the decoding station is. Here's a quick look at him. I'm going to swing up. Early engagement. Looks like they've already traded a bit of blows onto one member of the Mangu squad who's playing the low side of this building. The other two are inside. We've been here before, this time early. As you can see, Blue playing the long angle. Actually running a sniper this time around.
I kind of like this, right? Just play back, look for some nice entry damage, help your teammates, but sometimes you can still grab pickups. Volt Arrow comes on through, and I love that we kind of dodge it, shut the door, and be like, nah, no, we don't want this yet. Maybe we will. Maybe I can find a lineup. Maybe I can hit this shot and really turn our favors. For Black and Yellow and Ink on the other side of the MandelBrick. All the action coming through, and you think Zomo is going to connect, but it's Ink. Baby B and Too Easy are just swarming through the Black and Yellow roster.
Black and Yellow down to a single player, in trouble, and getting chased by a Saniva. This spells bad news because get over here.
Stop!
Gets crushed. Saniva hunts down their opponent. Saniva wipes Black and Yellow.
Run that one back. My man just got grappled into death because not only that, he puts him straight into the shield, and then the two remaining members just completely destroy him from the other side. The most brutal way to fall on out of this, and knowing just how close everyone is an asset value. And you're like, okay, do we just loot it up or do we go for the MandelBrick? Well, Black and Yellow take the early exit and don't get to play for either.
Yeah, it's actually a really good shout. Black and Yellow being out of this lobby is brutal for them on the total leaderboard. Look at where they're at on the left-hand side. This is total assets. This is our current leaderboard through all games right now. They're at the bottom. Yes, the spread is so insanely tight that just a decent game could have leapfrogged them up. It's not assured that you have to have a MandelBrick to make land. If everything gets stalled out, nobody gets a brick. We've already seen it once. Just the team at the top with the one brick will win it all. Everybody else is ranked in loot value. Loot is insanely important. They are out so early, Tiff. But the battle over position, no one has grabbed the brick yet.
Very respectable. And this is going to go back and be very similar to what we saw in match number 2, right? Just kind of starting to inch closer. Ink is going to be the remaining team from the eastern side of where the MandelBrick spawns. You still have SFC lurking in the north. Mangu out here on the west. And honestly, AKA is like, not sure if I want to get involved just yet. And all of this is very smart, considering JTH has been outside the building that Mangu is occupying and has decided we are going to be incredibly patient. Now, they do have that 2-1 split across the way here. It's just a little too reminiscent of where they fell out of this lobby in match number 4.
Yeah, here's the thing, too, I want to remind everybody of. There's one key, micro strategy note that everybody else can keep in mind. When the brick is picked up, it will tell the entire lobby if a quote-unquote match point team has the brick and puts it into a decoding station. AKA, everyone will know if SFC grabs the MandelBrick. So when this MandelBrick is eventually grabbed and put into a decoding station, when everybody gets the read that it's not SFC, they know the tournament is not over if somebody else gets the brick, which will free them up to kind of play whatever play style they want. If it was SFC that was running to grab the brick right now and puts it in a decoding station, then everybody had to respond, especially if you're down near the bottom of the leaderboard in terms of loot value. So keep that in mind. SFC, as expected, playing a much more defensive strategy. They're going to hang out in central command building and just wait for somebody to make a move and then either try to address it late and come in for the third party and clean everybody else up, which they did last time as a solo, probably easier as a team, or just let them fight over it, kill each other. They're going to make sure they get out of this lobby beyond anything else to just bump up their total asset value.
I mean, these are all really good strats, and honestly, if that's how it plays out, great, perfect, love that. This isn't necessarily a perfect world that we've been witnessing from our lobbies here in North America. They've been all so different, so conservative, but also utter madness in the same vein.
A deep breath from the operator and a deep breath from us in the booth, because This one, a lot more reminiscent to the first. The first MandelBrick round, no one would move until the timer forced you to. Seems like we're going to get a lot of the same. There it is. Just kidding. Ink says, I'm going to make you eat your words because yet again, I'm the one to move first. Yes, they waited a while. The exact same thing happened in map 2 on Brakkesh. This time on Space City, Ink making the first play, and they are leaving the middle of the map. They are headed south, potentially, or at the very least to wrap around to a new Decode. And unfortunately, Articuno hits the snipe of his life as he's down.
Oh, we knew that was going to happen at some point in time. AKA patience playing off. We knew they were kind of watching towards that mid-map, but that angle, the distance is insane. They got the res, though. They're back up on all 3. AKA closing the distance, but look at this. We have preserved it for this specific moment on Space City to bring that one on out.
It's a great read. You can see over the top, Ink just trying to find their way to a decoding station somehow, some way. Articuno has the AWM from, I believe, is that round 1 or was it round 3? Either way, a nice hold till this moment to use it in this round. AWM going to be a game changer on this map as we head to the internal decoding station. And AKA grab the brick, AKA plant the brick, AKA start things off.
Set it on up. You got the Seneva, 2 engineers here for the defensive side of things, and a toxic. So I like what we have around to use. Now, what we also have is that gold armor, gold helmet, some gold ammo in the hands of January. So we are kitted. Now, you think about what we're going to go up against. A couple of our other teams did come in with solid gold as well. SFC, the team that is on that win condition, actually playing on all purple right now, and only 1 player with gold ammo for the time being. And if they do decide they want to make use of this and shut the tournament down right now, they have just over 2.5 minutes to make their mark.
There's only one team that knows what weapon Articuno's brought in, and it's Ink. They just got hit with it. AWM holding some of these sight lanes. Extremely valuable. We're all body stacked in this kind of storage closet. Because again, Space City decoding stations are so interesting, but you can't actually hold right on top of them. I guess unless you're a Seneva operator, which is a nice boon.
There's those audio cues, and we are just kind of shield walking our way up. Open the door, shut it, open the door, but it's Seneva v Seneva. These 1v1s have been some of the most interesting things I could have imagined. But on the backs of 60 MG, you got Articuno in January pilfering through. Some reinforcements coming in for him. Kills all here. But I like that we're repositioning. It's a little bit of a stalemate through that route.
Gonna play over the top. Eze is not waiting. Gonna swing in just to make sure there's nobody up above. Clears it out. Says it's all clear. Gonna move up. SFC, by the way, they're coming down here to close this tournament out. I'm a bit surprised. We saw them briefly. You can see them through the wall there. SFC is gonna be in the green. If SFC get to this MandelBrick and get the Decode, they win the tournament. We don't even play Game 6. We're about to hit 60 seconds on the clock. Frankly, all hell is about to break loose.
It really is, but are they going to be able to do it? If anything, I hope that what they can do is find some kills and boost up that loot value. Because, like you said, if there's another team that grabs the MandelBrick here, it's going to be so close in numbers. Look at SFC on the total assets compared to AKA right now, who is the current team decoding that. 0.9 million separating them.
Anybody that gets the brick now is getting all that much closer to LAN. SFC get the brick, they go to LAN. It comes down to assets. 30 seconds on the clock. And 60 MG is holding the lane as Seneva. Does anybody want to contest? If you're going to, you better move now. AKA gonna get this for free? There's no way, right? He's just gonna sit on it.
I think Ink's going. Kills all right now, the Seneva. The data swarm comes through. It's gonna start ticking. Once it connects, and look who's filtering through. January up and at him, but the beatdown is here. Saniva wants to get wild, but nowhere. Down and out. SFC makes the play on a JTH elsewhere, but look at that. AKA still has it back. 2.5 minutes.
Unbelievable, Tiff. The Saniva standoff, and it actually goes to the side of Ink. 60MG just didn't want to sell there, didn't want to risk dying. I think he could have gotten active, but we'll come back to that later. The timer reset. Everybody can breathe for a moment. 2 minutes on the clock. As AKA have stolen it back, by the way. Ink stole it to reset. AKA steal it back. A big moment, though, as massive fights breaking out across the map. The only team fully out is Black and Yellow, which was a long time ago. SFC took down a couple members of JTH, who are down to 2 now. As Mango have found an angle onto Spades, getting the full. It's a 3v1 down below on one member of SFC. Don't tell me he can do it again. Loco by himself. This time a new member of SFC trying to play hero in a 1v3. This time not going to make it out of dodge. Not this time. SFC back to the lobby. The tournament will not end here, but somebody could join them at the top of the leaderboard if they get this MandelBrick.
The question is, can AKA close it out? They were so close the first time. They lose it. They steal it back. But this standoff with Ink inside the corridor will be difficult. Mengu, though, just trying to say, when is the right time to join the party?
Ink just stole it back, resetting to 2 minutes, and all of a sudden, AKA finds an angle. It's January on the off angle. That's actually taking down the Saniva operator, if I saw that correctly. It's a huge take. That means Ink can't get back to this position on the MandelBrick. We gotta steal it. Wait, what? From behind! Mangu, welcome back to the party. Maybe at the bottom of the leaderboard, you're playing spoiler. Just kidding. You get wiped. All of a sudden, we are down to 1 player, January. Mangu's team set up a nice pinch on both sides after Ink got pushed off the point. Because of that, January is a solo right now. Ink still technically in control of the Decode, but everybody taking a breath. We still have enough time on the clock for everybody to remake a play, get a couple revives, and try to fight for this final position on the MandelBrick.
AKA back up to 2. They're trying to probably get their numbers back in the mix. Mengu now looking to get to a team of 2. But as all of this is occurring, that time is climbing down, and Ink is just a team of 3 looking to secure themselves a MandelBrick, AKA back up to full fighting potential here, and are yet gonna contest them again. Will they be able to steal it back? Because this time is just dwindling, and of course it will be, I believe, at a minute and a half if they can proclaim it.
Oh, magnetic bomb to the head. There's efficacy in fire in the trading of blows. Battle, and only 1 player remaining for AKA. With a team of 2, they've got to force the equation, and they do it. AKA still down to 1. Ink will not go down without a fight. Ink with 20 seconds on the clock. Ink likely about to get the MandelBrick. And they've got their friend able to get back into it, but Manga's going to go for the steal. Maybe. No. Can't get inside in time. Eze trying not to sell, but we got to pay attention to this decoding station. You could win it right here if you look at it. No! Sing Song! Tan and Handsome coming in! It's utter chaos on the point. Mangu getting into the mix. MandelBrick has been extracted. Ink, get the brick. They are alive. They have the MandelBrick. No one's able to steal it in time. Now it's just about playing cleanup. Unbelievable sequence. Ink gets saved by the bell. Ink gets saved by their opponents. Ink get wiped, but they get the brick, and that's all that matters.
They did have some players alive when the MandelBrick was decoded, so now we can just see everyone looking to clear things out. JTH full wiped. The only 2 players left on the map are here from Mengu right now.
So much chaos in the corridor here. This corridor can barely support 2 teams, let alone 5. The utter chaos ensues. Magnetic bombs, bullets flying. 1 team stands tall, but 1 team will be at the top of the leaderboard, and those squads are different. Mangu, the last remaining team on the map, gonna optimize their loot for the final minute or 2. But it's Team Ink. Play the corridor perfectly. And funny enough, Tiff, the team they have to thank for that win and for that MandelBrick is the team that wiped them. Mangu plays spoiler here in a huge way to make sure AKA can't steal the brick back. Here's a quick look back on the replay of that moment. Here's AKA. I mean, Articuno has 1 HP in a dream. Sing Song cleans him up. But the fight right here, look at Mangu coming in from the backside, playing spoiler to Ink. because they're fighting this entire time, they aren't able to get to the brick in time. Yes, they get the wipe, but the brick is out of this lobby, and Mangu wipes the rest of the teams on the map. A couple key points here, but at the end of the day, Ink's going to be at the top of the leaderboard with SFC as the only 2 teams with the MandelBrick.
The best part about this is I saw 8 kills. 8 kills. 8 times 3 is going to be a substantial number. They should be able to... I think they're running towards this no backpack extract, so maybe we can get a couple players on out. We'll feel pretty good about it. But it's going to come down to getting a MandelBrick in that final match if you want to go to LAN, now that we have 2 different players that have one. So make it close. Have a third team grab a MandelBrick in that last match and keep tabs there on that total asset value, because it is going to be insanely close.
Yeah, whoa, that was a breathtaker. A brutal, chaotic map. It's so funny watching the 2 different extraction, or rather, sorry, decoding stations as this team extracts. The 2 different decoding stations are so vastly different. The one similarity is there's just kind of one big sight line. The difference, one CQB indoors, the other outdoors with some longer sight lines and some longer abilities to play. But I'm just flabbergasted by the end of that map. Just barely, by the way, getting out in time. Mangu's team will get out. Believe all 3 able to do it in time. No, just 1, it looks like, able to get out. We'll double check that afterwards, but even still. And of course is Ink at the top. But the minutia of that map, Tiff, I think Mangu just closed the distance on this leaderboard. It is still anyone's tournament. And now I truly mean it. Every team, razor thin margins in loot value. It's going to come down to who's got a brick and who doesn't.
It really does. If you want to go to LAN and compete for $500,000, you have to procure a MandelBrick, and you have one more opportunity to make it happen. And if there's one thing I learned in North America, is that it's not going to be easy.
Not going to be easy. 1 map to go. We got to take a look back at some of the replays from that one. There were some banger moments, and frankly, so many chaotic moments that I just about lost track of all the people that were dying in the blink of an eye. It was unbelievable. And I'm really impressed with Ink, of course, to be able to restabilize. I said this before, I gotta say it again. They've got to thank these other teams for getting involved. Here's a quick look back on some of these early fights. Obviously, the first one came down to Ink wiping this team and then slapping them down as they tried to run away to make sure that Black and Yellow were not in the mix towards the end of this map.
Yeah, that was brutal on Black and Yellow. It completely shut out their dreams here of even just trying to play for that loot value. But we do see that all of these fights start breaking through, and then you have the Battle of the Cenevas here in the corridor through the smokes. It changes hands a couple times on that MandelBrick. A couple AWM shots come throughout our replays, which also is going to be lost.
Yeah, I want to say there's actually a chance maybe Mango's team, I thought I saw it hit the ground when they were changing loot back and forth. They might have grabbed it with maybe a couple bullets to use in this last map. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Some big fights here, though, indoors. Mangu trying to play spoiler, pushes AKA off the point. Well-placed magnetic bomb. That magnetic bomb from the Viren in the tunnel knocked one of the players of AKA before they get steal, and because of that, Ink gets it. And AKA Articuno was the one holding JTH so that he couldn't go steal. So Ink get the decode amidst the chaos and then get wiped by Mangu, who cleans up the rest of this lobby. So as you can see on the left-hand side quickly in these replays, Mangu's team was at the bottom in total assets, but they've actually leapfrogged a couple teams, jumped this leaderboard. It couldn't be closer going into the final map in a very fun finish to a wild map 5, penultimate map done and dusted. And Tiff, I can't wait for map 6. It is as close as it gets.
It really is. I can only imagine what match number 6 is going to have in store for us. If I'm SFC, the best way to guarantee it alongside the other team that just grabbed a MandelBrick is to procure yourself a second one. If you're looking for a vying chance, grab your first, have a ton of loot value, and then it's going to come down to just minimal amounts of loot value, Goj. Minimum.
Yeah, it's anybody's game. Anybody can win it all, folks. We're going to take a very short break here in the booth because we got to get a breather as these players are getting locked and loaded for the last map of the day. No holds barred. Bring in every weapon you can possibly get your hands on. You better bring in the best gear that you can. Of course, there's a risk to that. You lose your gear, you lose loot value, you might lose a place to land, depending how the bricks exchange hands, folks. You're not going to want to miss the last map. NA shaping up to be one of the biggest and best tournaments we've seen thus far. Don't go anywhere.
Please don't take them
others stand aside. But I choose to become the storm.
Warning, liquid nitrogen fill complete.
Welcome back, Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers, North American Regional Finals, Match 5 leaderboard. And, well, the team at the top is the team with the MandelBrick Inc. top spot on the match leaderboard. But Mangu jumped this leaderboard 4.5 mil just in this game alone. They were at the bottom of the leaderboard, but no longer a big map for them. But it's all about Inc., the second team to get a MandelBrick, and now going to be at the top.
Yeah, and this is going to be really massive considering not only did they get that MandelBrick, but they got a substantial amount of loot value for Mangu. If they come into match number 6 and they get a MandelBrick coupled alongside everything that they've acquired, it's going to be big for Black and Yellow, aka those are some pretty big numbers to lose out on right now, and it's really going to make a difference when we kind of set the sights on what that overall leaderboard looks like going into match number 6, since we don't have, you know, one team in particular that feels like it's a huge standout. At least that's what I'm thinking as we look at the overall leaderboard. See, it is way too close, Goj. Way too close.
Okay, so there's so much we could talk about here. The big thing first is that, of course, Inc. and SFC both have a MandelBrick. If somehow, some way, which we've seen happen in Game 2, another team doesn't get a MandelBrick, Inc. and SFC are making it to land regardless of loot value numbers. However, a team like Jack Tan and Handsome, a team like Mangu now, a team like AKA, Black and Yellow, literally anyone else gets a MandelBrick in this round to force it to 3 teams with a MandelBrick, it comes down to loot value. And what happens sometimes when you get the MandelBrick, you're the last team on the map. You're able to loot everybody up. And if you can get out as well, or just pack those safe boxes full, it might just be about who stays alive the longest that is able to win this entire tournament and make it to LAN. We got 2 strategies here, Tiff. If we're Ink and SFC, we could play for the win, you could play for the second brick and assure our spot. Or you could play slow, loot up, and just try to outscore your opponents. Either way could work, just a matter of execution.
Well, then it's time to execute because you really don't have a lot of time left. In fact, this is the final match to find our two teams that are going to be advancing on to the Delta Force Invitational on LAN, competing for $500,000. And if there's one match of operations in Space City on hard difficulty that is standing in your way, if you don't have a MandelBrick, get one. But also, that's not even going to be enough. You're going to have to make sure that you couple a ton of loot to go alongside that MandelBrick. And if everything about history is going to repeat itself in this match, what is that utter madness that breaks out the moment everyone starts trying to steal that MandelBrick while being decoded gauche? I'm talking a receipt, a laundry list worth of the kill feed of the trades that are happening.
Now, the kills are all worth 300k too. That could be the difference between you making LAN or not too. I mean, there's so many what ifs. Space City, though, I love that we're in Space City 3 times in a row because Space City's got to be one of the hottest maps out here in terms of these fights around the decoding stations. Here we go. Let's take a look at the operators before we jump into game. It's about to get started. Decent amount of variety across the board. It looks like North America favored the use of Nox early to leave some options open towards the end. The last map of the day, and we got plenty of Cenivas to play with. I'm going to be honest. If I'm looking at this list, especially on Space City, here's what I'm thinking. Ink, they've done it, right? They grabbed their last brick. They used Ceniva to do it. Ink is going to try to grab the MandelBrick fast and take it to an open decoding station. If it goes back indoors, Ink will not win that fight without a Ceniva. We saw how valuable they were in that corridor. If you're a team, SFC, who has both their Ceniva operators, you could run both of them and go for the decode as well. Try to grab it immediately and take it into the interior one that we just saw. Same for AKA. A lot of question marks here, and I don't know what the answer is, but I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are just moments away from dropping into match number 6. So I think those are all very vital things. Alluru, they're going to be 2 from that on black and yellow. Maybe they just do not favor playing that. Maybe they come in with the Luna, Stinger, Nox, or maybe they drop with the Alluru into this. But black and yellow didn't even get to play in match number 5 because they were the first team that fell. This is a chance for them to kind of make that comeback.
Yeah, I only see 2 Lunas, by the way, left. One for Jack Tan and Handsome, one for black and yellow. Likely will both be used to get information in this map. Let's see. I mean, Alluru is super valuable as well with the mini guided missile that he can use and the deployable cover that you can build up. Pretty helpful for interior fights. I don't know. I'm really pumped to see who they choose here. Mangu's got a Viren. I would expect some Virens as well. I mean, talk about the efficacy of Viren. How many plays did we see fights win because of Viren knockdowns or magnetic bombs? I mean, literally, Ink caps that point in the last one by using Viren's magnetic bomb. They stuck the Ceniva operator that was trying to go for the decode, and it kills him outright before you can get it.
Things are going to get dicey here in the final match of the NA regional finals. And as we kind of sit here, we gear up, we theory craft, we think we know what can potentially happen, but not until we get into it. 2 minutes, 56 seconds on that timer and counting down.
Quick look at the spawns, quick look at who's moving where. All of a sudden, already, the hero Grimmy is killed off rip in the first 45 seconds of the lobby. Black and yellow, frustrated with some early departures in the last couple, they sprint forward and catch Grimmy before their opponents can respond. An early blood means SFC is in a blender to start this thing off. Already at the top of the leaderboard, but down a player is brutal on the final map of the day.
Ooh. I mean, look. It's not what you want going into match number 6. Knowing that you have a MandelBrick, knowing that if someone else gets it, aside from Ink or yourself, then you have a real issue with potentially not qualifying to LAN. It all comes down to this. And they didn't even play for loot value on match number 5. They could have maybe focused up anywhere other than the MandelBrick and played for the long game, but instead they bring it to a very close match number 6, because look who's really setting themselves up for a MandelBrick play.
Yeah, JTH trying to set up in mid. I like this. I think getting here early is a nice boon for them. Reminder, on a technicality, they are currently our top team in loot value. They're not our top team in the leaderboard. Ink has just surpassed them in this map. 13.7. There's the total assets. If they get this MandelBrick, they're going to leapfrog SFC. This is a scary moment for a team that's down to a duo in green. We'll watch out for them. As black and yellow also jockeying for position around this MandelBrick. About 70 seconds before this MandelBrick is able to be picked up. And I think, I say this every map that we see it, I think fortune is going to favor the bold. You might not win it, but it's going to be a huge boon to decide where it goes based on the operators that you're bringing in. If I'm JTH not bringing in a Saniva, I got to take this to a decoding station that's outside that indoor position.
There's some red going the way of AKA, which isn't bad. Now, do you loot? Do you play for the MandelBrick? Because you need a MandelBrick to even win it. And right now, JTH, black and yellow, Zomo, my guy. This is not what you want for black and yellow yet again. Now, in a 3v2.
Yeah, this is why teams play slow, by the way. You were asking why we were not moving at all. The one time we get antsy and we rush through a doorway, we get obliterated and lose a player. All advantages we had now gone out the window. John is going to have to go huge from an off angle. Incendiary connects for a moment on equal, but able to back up. Get back to full health. MandelBrick is able to be grabbed, and in the chaos, it looks like AKA maybe are the ones making the first move. Here goes 60 MG. A frustrating last map. They're the ones that grab the brick. They're the ones that get to dictate where it goes. Once it goes into a decoding station, it can't leave that decoding station. And AKA want to put it somewhere special. Let's see where they take it.
Wait, the auto tank knocks him. That's going to really put a thorn in the side of you making your way over towards a decoding station. Elsewhere, we do see SFC go back to a team of 3, but all eyes for now are on AKA. Black and yellow still having to deal with JTH, so it's going to keep them occupied. So at least AKA has a relatively easy rotate on out of this.
Curious to where they're going to go. Oh, they are going to go inside? I'm going to be honest. I don't love this choice. They don't have a Saniva operator. It is now inside, and AKA said we should have gotten the brick last time here. We know we can win this fight. We're going to do it again. They're set up early. They're set up before anyone else, so they could dictate the fight by kind of playing a little bit more out in the open and just shooting anybody that comes into view immediately. But if a Saniva operator gets set up in here, AKA is going to have a hard time dealing with them.
That's okay. We're going to wait it out. We're going to see if that even happens. For the time being, they're just focused on locking down this area. And JTH now with 2 kills, so 600k Technic alloy of value here is going to be quite nice. And they're kind of sitting on a body of one member of black and yellow who is now currently a solo, which means that the chances of them sealing their ticket to LAN in September are likely not going to happen unless some crazy regain occurs and he can pick up both members.
Yeah. Or if he just pulls a Grimmy. I mean, not like we haven't seen a solo hero moment. The stakes are very simple, folks. If you don't have a MandelBrick, you're not making it to finals. You're not making it to LAN in China. You're not playing for $500,000. That's all it takes. Spades has an angle. Here comes Ink. Moving first is Saniva, though. Perfect play. Able to check the corner for free. Triple Blaster won't connect. Ink gonna have to relocate before they try to address this fight. This interior decoding station. SFC get to move up for free.
Okay, Spades. Kind of bringing it up the rear. We still are working our way closer to the decoding station. Grimmy here, though, does have the ability to mix up the interior. You were asking for the Suniva plays, and well, I see one.
2 minutes on the clock here on the decoding station. No huge rush. AK has been set up for a while here, waiting on a contest. SFC doesn't have to take this brick. AKA could theoretically take this brick and still not make land technically. But the loot values are so close, you can't leave it up to chance like that. Can't leave it up to RNG. You're going to have to fight regardless. 60 MG in a decent spot. Maybe more than decent. Finds one. We saw this ladder stall position in EU. 60 MG says, thank you very much. I will yoink that kill. Equal plays down in numbers. Backs off. And a nice take.
Yikes. While that was going on, Black and Yellow was actually able to pick up one member of the team. Which, you know, if they get back to a full number, which it doesn't look like they're going to be able to, it does show kind of the X there. So they're going to be relegated down to a team of 2. Can they pull it off? Yes, especially with what we saw earlier. You talked about that hero play. It's possible, right? But less than a minute left here for AKA. They have locked down this corridor and have so far not had any challenge.
Yeah, this is so interesting. JTH is the only one that's going to challenge him. Black and Yellow coming in as a duo, finally getting here. The problem is everybody is so incredibly late. Everybody has a timer. Mangu is just risking it for the biscuit. Mangu's saying, somebody will steal this. We're going to rely on their opposition to save this tournament. And because they're playing slow on the backside, they take out one member of Black and Yellow. Black and Yellow back down to a solo. Mangu's here. Get me to the MandelBrick. Mangu's coming in to get to the party, but they're so late. 18 seconds. Jack, tall, and handsome. Tall, tan, doesn't matter. They're getting into the mix. Black and Yellow out of this lobby. Black and Yellow not making land. I don't care. 9 seconds left on this MandelBrick. No one's making a move for it. Mangu's late. You're too late, ladies and gentlemen. You're all dead, ladies and gentlemen. AKA wiping everybody. AKA getting the MandelBrick. You move too slow. AKA fortune favors the bold, my friends. Job is not done. You got to get the full wipe and you're able to do it. See ya later. AKA wipes everybody.
Not only do they wipe everyone, of course they get the MandelBrick, but that might be enough kills to shoot them up the leaderboard in terms of that loot value, right? I see 7 kills, 2.1 million in value aside from that. We're going to focus on getting the res, and now you have so much time, just over 10 minutes, to focus on looting the map and getting out. So now if I'm SFC, who did not get a second MandelBrick, right? Did not double down, check and make sure they can really seal their ticket as we kind of run back that chaotic moment. Now everyone's just got to loot.
Insane plays, perfect setup. They force the hand of their opponents and everybody moved too late. The spin here, the perfect trades, the help of Articuno, but January going massive to get the full team wipe and the cleanup. Back to the action we go. A key factor here. The 3 remaining teams are the 3 teams with the MandelBrick already. Jack, Tan, and Handsome out, not making land. Mango out, not making land. Black and Yellow out, not making land. These 3 teams already have a MandelBrick at this point. These 3 teams jockeying for 2 positions to land. It's gonna come down to fights here. Extracting, likely not the play. You've got to play to win the map.
This has to be done to perfection with a sprinkle of luck. And Ink is down to a duo.
The onus of responsibility, according to our leaderboard. Nice play to try to get that thing out without having to drop down. But the onus of responsibility is on SFC. They're technically 900k behind Ink right now. AKA, after looting all of those bodies, want to assuredly put some points on the board. Smartly, they're going to send one player out of this lobby. To the workshop we go. Get out with some points. Make sure we get a sizable amount for our leaderboard. Let's throw them up there. And we'll figure it out from there. Leaving 2 on the map. Play spoiler. I think is the right play. So 60MG says, I've done my job. I'll do my part and I will get out of the map. Some nice points being added to the leaderboard. I'm not sure exactly how many, but probably a majority of the loot they found on all those boxes after the wipes. So now it's a 2v2v3. SFC, the only team with 3 players on the map, and the team that needs it most.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, especially looking at the total assets now, just 200,000 separating them. It is going to come down to the very last minute on this match. You can see there, we do send one member, like you were saying, out from AKA, and I think that's smart, right? Preserve as much as you can, and then you go look for more kills.
You also got to extract too. I mean, safe box helpful. But you got to extract. The rocket launch too long. 11 minutes. If you're able to guard the area, potentially you could get out this way. Helicopter landing area been utilized. Articuno in January. We're gonna guard this area and then get the rocket launch potentially off the ground. I think they're thinking we have enough. If we can get out, we have enough. January still has an AWM to play with.
I just feel like that's something that you don't ever want to assume. You never want to assume you have enough with how close these leaderboards have been. I mean, those kills are an insane amount, and I think that should really boost you on up. But you don't know. Someone could walk around and find something insane.
SFC, the full team. The only full team on the lobby still. But they have no idea where Ink is. They know the rocket launch is coming. But they don't know where their opponents are. And frankly, if you're SFC, you have to find them. Or you have to get real dang lucky. Right now, if the map ended here, we still have 6 minutes. If the map ended here, AKA and Ink are headed to land in China. Remy has done some heroic things on main, but it may not be enough. They can't figure out how to get out of this lobby or wipe the other teams that are doing it. The math coming in, it's even. Ink and SFC, the same as of current.
And it's just checking everything, making sure that you're not missing something. It is going to come down to the absolute wire. Little by little, brick by brick, can we get to land?
We'll loot out everything we can. Again, this leaderboard is not based on the excess loot, if you will. It's not based on all loot minus the stuff you brought in. It's total assets that your character has. Stash value, everything. So because of that, you've got to maximize value. You've got to maximize the total loot value of everything, including the stuff you brought in. Mathematically, this couldn't be closer. I think the big question in my mind is who gets out. Now, the lever's being pulled. That is setting off the extraction point right there in the middle of the map. You can see it. There's enough time on that extraction to get out of the map. This is going to be the fight potentially for land. We've had hype moments, Tiff, but I think this final fight's going to be everything.
It really, truly is, as we kind of gear up towards that extraction point. Doing what we can. But time is of the essence, and there's really not going to be a whole heck of a lot of time to make this work.
Only we know the teams that are left in the lobby. I'm sure they're doing their own internal calculations. Check every corner. Check every angle. We've got to do it. Gonna guard the area here for the rocket for another 50 seconds. Should have plenty of time to take this rocket extract out. I say plenty of time. There's only 4 minutes left on the game clock. And I wonder what SFC decides to do. Do they try to skip this middle extraction and go for the rocket? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It's going to be heartbreaking, though, because it's going to come down to just a small amount.
Cow,
and I can't imagine if you see that clutch that Grimmy was able to do towards the end of match number 4. There is just no way. We have 1 kill at the hands of spades here. That's only 300K.
Yeah, let me be very clear. I have absolutely no idea what happens if we extract right here. There's a couple match compensation things that happen from kills, staying alive. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, and these are razor-thin margins. What I do know is this. One of these teams can wipe one of these squads at the extraction points. It could mean that you make land. Here's a look at it. Rocket extraction. They've captured it. It's coming down in 40 seconds. They're going to get a read on it. I think this was an extremely high IQ play to make sure that AKA all of them get out of this lobby. Playing this far away means they're likely going to be safe. No one's going to run all the way down from here now that there's an extraction point that's a lot closer. SFC moves there first. It's going to be a 3v2 for the middle extraction point. Look at the timers, folks. 60 seconds on the clock. Ink is late. Coming in late. They got to get a knockdown here, and they got to get an angle. Ink in trouble. They're not going to get there in time. Ink may not make land if they can't get to the extraction point. They don't have to kill him. They just got to get on it when this timer hits 0. It's 3 seconds. You got to get there. 1 second. Ink, do they get out? 1 member, infant baby, sneaks in. SFC, all 3 get out. 2 members of AKA get out through the rocket, which means all 3 of them get out. Ink only miss out on 1 player's loot. And I don't know if that 1 player's loot makes the difference on them winning or losing over SFC. This leaderboard on the left, it's insanely close, and there's a couple things that will happen afterwards that could shift it on its head. That 1 mistake, that 1 minute of being just a hair late could be the difference maker. It's going to come down to potentially less than 10,000 in Technic Alloy. It is that close. And Ink, honestly, Ezzy here. To Ezzy, the best thing he can do right now with the last remaining 1 minute and 20 seconds, Tiff, is to just find anything that could replace anything in his safe box.
Gosh, they don't have any kills either. So we're not going to have that extra additional moment there for the kills. This is... I don't envy our team that has to do the math and make sure we're totaling everything up as you set in Sunsight. Our last sites here on to Space City, match number 6. We're pretty much done and dusted here, Goes. Now we just have to figure out who our top 2 teams are.
I have absolutely no idea. Can you believe that at the start of this tournament, we're now thinking forward and saying, oh, how will this thing end? And at the end, we have the 3 teams that get the MandelBrick. The last 3 teams alive on the map. And they all try to extract. And the numbers couldn't be closer. I genuinely have no idea, but what a banger way to finish this competition. It's all going to come down to the admins behind the scenes. It's all going to come down to razor-thin margins. Did you do enough? Did you get that 1 kill you missed out on? Did you find that 1 piece of loot that put you over the edge? Was the strategy from AKA to get 1 player out early, hit the rocket extract, and all 3 get out that way, the right one? Or could they have played this early extraction in the middle of the map and played spoiler to a couple teams? I don't know, but it's cinema out here. And we'll see who the top 2 teams are that are going to land in China, Tiff. I'm really looking forward to looking back on some of these replays while we wait.
Yeah, that's going to be the best part of it because it's going to come down to every moment that you have to analyze as we do get those replays locked and loaded. Here they are, that we can remember, right? Especially grabbing a MandelBrick in the final round to put yourself into contention. But it was AKA, as soon as it spawned, jumped straight onto it and took it to the nearest corridor. And sure, some of those tanks proved to be pretty tough to deal with, but we don't lose anyone in the process.
Yeah, don't lose anybody in the process. A nice play from them. And this was a crazy moment. I mean, AKA set this so early, line them up, knock them down, spin, and with the help of 60MG to get them weak, January swings in and wipes all of Jack Tan and Handsome, and then wipes Mango's team as well. And here's a look at their strategy. They send Articuno out on 1. Here's a fight on the extraction point. Nobody exchanges blows there, and one member of Inc. sneaks into the extraction zone just in time as the last remaining players of AKA get out on the rocket. A fun replay package and a fun map, but again, absolutely no idea who's made it to land.
And now we just sit here and wait. We're gonna all be just as surprised as you in chat. Everyone from behind the scenes, we're just gonna have this collective sigh where we're like, okay, who qualified? Who is advancing to the next stage? You have to think about all of the journey that it took just to get to the regional finals moment, to be able to try and nab one of those 2 slots from North America, to get to land, to cement yourself in that Delta Force history. You want to be a part of that. And to be the 3rd place team, that is going to be the most heartbreaking thing. Like, so heartbreaking, Gosh.
Yeah, I can only imagine that these teams are just sitting in their chairs thinking, we did everything we could, and now it's up to the math. And I would be, if I was a competitor, I know I would be second guessing every tiny moment. So many fun moments on those maps to look back on. SFC, of course, the Grimmy solo play, gotta be my highlight level clip of this map, regardless of where they line up on this leaderboard. Just unreal positioning, unreal plays. But Inc. was probably the most consistent trio on the map across the board, Tiff. Constantly in great positions, even though they did get 1v3'd in that map I'm talking about, constantly in the infights, constantly slaying out, getting a crazy amount of kills, and just their kills maybe are the difference maker of them making land. I don't know. It's gonna be close.
Look, they get 1v3, they 1v3'd at one point,
True.
all thanks to a nice nade and some of those earlier maps. I believe that was Zero Dam, our first match of the day.
Yep.
And it kind of set the precedent of what we were going to expect, because we talked about Killzall being kind of that standout performer in terms of grabbing a ton of eliminations in those the regional finals and semifinals, right? My brain is getting clustered because I keep thinking about all these plays that we've witnessed today that has just been absolute insanity, but we are just down to the wire. And they started off strong, and they kind of carried that momentum forward. The thing is, was it enough? And I feel like we're gonna keep asking ourselves that. Was it enough? If, you know, SFC in match number 5, if they wouldn't have went for the MandelBrick, if they would have focused on loot, would this have been a completely different situation? It wouldn't have been so close in match number 6.
Yeah, and I think if I'm thinking back on some of the teams that didn't make the cut, we know for a fact half of this leaderboard has been decided, right? We know for a fact who our bottom 3 teams are. It's a very interesting position that we get ourselves in. I don't think I've seen this on main stage. 3 teams with the MandelBrick, 3 teams without the MandelBrick, and 3 teams at the top so close we don't know the winners. It means we can talk about those bottom 3 teams. So let's take a moment to talk about them. Jack, Tan, and Handsome. Really well done from that squad across the board. Maintain high loot value, really good fights. They just, unfortunately, in that last map, get punished. They just come in a hair too late. And that feels like the kind of storyline of this entire competition. Just too little, too late. Every move was just too slow, not enough time on the clock to where you could adjust and try to make a play. You kind of had to close your eyes and just swing in and hope for the best, and that just about never worked, Tiff. Really bummed for those guys. They did a great job in the DFEI tournament to get to this stage. Not going to be making land assuredly. Same can be said about the other 2 teams. Obviously, they're their own highlight level moments between Black and Yellow and Mangu.
Yeah, Black and Yellow, it was just tough for the final 2 matches for them. Everything seemed to be going okay, right? And then you get to that last match number 5 first, actually, where you get grappled, smacked down by a Saniva, and then finished off. That's where I'm just like, oh boy, as soon as they get wiped there, that is just not how you want that precedent for match number 5. So you go into match number 6, and what do they do to try and kind of bounce back from that lackluster game? They go on the aggressive front. They actually run through a lot of positions, try to pick up some early kills onto SFC, and sure, they find Grimmy, right? Of course, he comes back to life later down after he gets through out a res, but they try to take a lot of engagements to make up for what they lost in match number 5, and that hyper aggression actually destroyed them, right? You're just sprinting through doorways, you don't see the player laying down, and you get completely taken out. It's tough, but you know what they did? They had so many good moments in the early half of our series.
Yeah, and then to talk about Mangu briefly, I mean, talk about a turnaround. I mean, unbelievable ending to what was a frustrating event for them, right? They started out it's pretty much the exact opposite. Started out pretty slow. I mean, they were at the bottom of the leaderboard going into map 4. All of a sudden, they turn it on in the final half. It just wasn't enough when they weren't able to get the MandelBrick. And I think this was all dictated to go all the way back to game 2, Tiff. We saw something that we don't see that often. Game 2 was a MandelBrick round, and no one got the MandelBrick because everybody was a bit too slow. The steals came in late, the time ran out, and nobody was able to grab it. Because of that, it all came down to MandelBrick grabs at the end, and the teams that were able to get them, of course, the teams at the top. Mangu, a great late tournament push, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough at the end when you weren't able to capture the MandelBrick. And again, it was the same story. Came in just a hair too late in the final map to try to steal it and reset that timer. And kudos to AKA. I don't know that they've made it for sure, but kudos to them to grab the MandelBrick in that last round, Tiff. And talk about that for a moment. A nice steal, because frankly, when they grabbed it and immediately planted it, I was the one that was calling it into question. Of course, I'm eating the shoe on broadcast now, but I called it into question. I was like, I don't think this is the right play. They don't have a Saniva. They're taking it indoors, but because of how fast they move, it paid off. They set up a hold perfectly, and not all the teams could collapse in time to do so together. So instead, everybody came in late. They were able to hold out one team, and then they just win the gunfight before anybody could steal it. A really cool moment in that last map, AKA making me eat my words with a great play.
No, they didn't even just win the gunfight. I think they got like, what, 7 kills? They got an insane amount. And not only that, their rotation, that quick rotate you were talking about, that was delayed, right? You got the auto tank that comes in, picks up one, and they so focus on hitting the res before making their way over to that decode station. So they had about a 10-second delay. So you would think that some of the teams in a neighboring vicinity with the MandelBrick being on the move, they would start to flirt around with some of the decoding stations. They don't do that. You're right. Timing of the essence, and they really didn't go for any of it. It wasn't until the final seconds where everyone, like you said, starts collapsing, and AKA just like spins around and racks up all the kills.
Yeah, and it's insanely close. Now, I'm getting word. I think our just massive mathematicians behind the scenes have been triple, quadruple, and quintuple checking everything behind the scenes about our leaderboard, because it was as close as it looked. There's a team at the top with a decent margin, I'm being told, but the teams for second, the fight for second, couldn't be closer. I'm talking not even 6 digits. Ooh. I'm waiting on the word, but I believe we are ready for the leaderboard. And once I show this, it's going to be insane, or maybe just the champions. But either way, I'll wait until I get the official word. Okay, we got it. Leaderboard's ready. Radio call is in. Who are our winners? Who is assuredly the team making LAN at the top of the leaderboard? Our winners of our North American region. It is AKA in the final map on the back of their limbs and their loot value, and the brick grab in the final map. AKA are your champions for the North American region here, the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers.
RF Farming at its finest, 18 total limbs, 18.6 mil total supply value. And look, it just comes down to a match 6 insane victory to make this happen. Like, if you're gonna wait to come down to the wire, that's exactly what you're doing, but my God, do it in style. Steal it away. That means one of our teams between Inc. and SFC, who had a MandelBrick prior, will not be advancing on.
Yeah, this is insane. Here's a look at the overall, Tiff, and unbelievable spread. AKA crushed it, and these were razor thin margins. What's thinner than a razor? I don't even know. A strand of hair, less than 100,000 technic alloy separates these two teams. The battle for first, well decided. The battle for second, the last spot to LAN, decided by 80,000 technic alloy. One single kill, much less than a single kill. A decent item, not even a good one, taken out of this lobby. Inc. just barely scrapes by. Inc. will be joining AKA, representing North America in China on LAN, playing for $500,000 in September. It's Inc. It's AKA. They've made it. You've done it. Congratulations, gentlemen. You're going to be representing North America in China for $500,000. 12 teams from 8 regions, and here's 2 more of them joining the ranks of the 2 teams from EU, and then our other teams from other regions.
You know, Gosh, as I sit here, and I want to congratulate all the teams that played today and our qualified teams here today, but Killsall getting that frag that netted for 3 kills, that is a difference maker. That is an insane difference maker. But for those of you that are not advancing on to the global LAN in China next month, there is still money on the line. So you can see AKA winning it all, grabbing the ticket, $4,000, Inc. joining them, getting $3,000, SFC third place, $1K, and then Jack Tan Handsome, Mengu Black and Yellow all taking home $500. So it may not be a chance to compete in person on LAN, but you know what it is? It's a nice consolation prize to get paid for a crazy evening of Delta Force. I
Yeah,
know.
it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, $1,000 for SFC is great. $500 a piece for the rest of the teams. You made it here. You're getting paid for it. Well done. Of course, the top 2 teams, though, making the most and doing the most over there on LAN in about a month's time. Unbelievable job from our top 2 teams and a great tournament today. North America, I'm going to be honest, you didn't disappoint. You lived up to the hype. The beginning, I was a bit worried, but the end of this tournament was absolutely cinemative. Such a fun event, and we've got 2 more teams joining the ranks of the others in 8 regions, by the way. This is a World's Championship. Delta Force Invitational, really pumped about it. 2 teams from North America. We've got them. Unreal end to this tournament, Tiff, and I had so much fun casting it. Of course, not done yet. We're working on potentially getting an interview with one member of AKA that's going to be joining us here shortly as the champions today. But sometimes it all comes down to one single map. Golly, that is a $4,000 map of Delta Force plus whatever the value is, getting flown out to China for a LAN event. I mean, good grief, an insane value on one single map for AKA. Obviously, there's a lot leading up to it. But just getting that brick in that final map won them this title and won them a spot to LAN. So dang cool. But Tiff, talk to me a little bit about this compared to semifinals. Did it live up to the hype for you as well? Obviously, I missed out on semis. It's good to be back. Compared to 2, what'd you think?
It's crazy because I heard that the Group B competing for NA semifinals was absolutely lights out. That was SFC that clutched it up. They got the 2 MandelBricks. They ended it in 4 maps. But Group A definitely played a bit slower, right? But 3 of the teams that were competing here today actually came from Group A that we watched on main. And there was a lot of the same style playing that we saw here today. It was rather conservative. It was definitely just kind of slowing everything down and being more methodical about it, which is really what you do in operations in general. And of course, when the stakes are this high, it's going to go a little slower, but that was only for the first half of our series. The moment we jumped onto Space City, everything started kind of livening back on up. And honestly, I got really nervous. Remember how I always ask about a heartbeat monitor? I feel like we need that heart rate monitor for our players because you know it's just shooting up.
I need one for me. I was jumping around my room. I'm getting word. We've got an interview here with AKA. We've got, I believe, Articuno in the booth with us. My GOAT. Unbelievable job. I mean, what's the feeling right now? You just made LAN, dude. You did it in the last map.
Yeah, it feels crazy, especially considering we were so far down. Well, I think we were in the last place, and then we just turned up at the very end.
Turn it up. Look, it was do or die in that moment. So when that final decode kind of came through in the final match of the day, what were the comms like? How were the vibes? What were you guys thinking?
You know, we were pretty tilted about game 5, considering we got the brick to, I think, like 4 or 5 seconds. We just played it wrong, but I know my team is very composed. Obviously, we bicker, but I'm very confident in all of our ability individually, and I knew we'd pull it out. We just had to play correctly, and it happened. So.
Yeah, and I want to kind of hone in on that final moment too, because once you got the MandelBrick, obviously I'm sure there was some excitement. But talk to me a little bit more about the decision for the extract. I think that was a really key and niche decision that you made to make sure you assuredly got the win, because the job wasn't done. Once you got the brick, you joined the other 2 teams. And I don't know if you knew, but the other 2 teams that were alive on the map were the other 2 teams with the MandelBrick as well. One wrong move and you guys still don't make LAN.
Yeah, so our thought process was we already knew we were far down in terms of economy. So we just knew we had to play perfect in terms of the brick, get it early, and we got a lucky spawn. We knew if we got Employee or the Westgate, we would get the brick, get out, just like how we did in semis. And then we knew we were already down a lot of money. So once we got all those kills, we secured dog tags, we knew we had to get out. So once we had the opportunity to get one of us out, we also decided Rocket, knew we were going to win.
Yeah.
Confidence. No, I love that. But I think we have to start focusing forward, right? Now that you're going to LAN, competing on the global stage, 8 total regions competing for $500,000, how are you going to prepare to take down everyone on LAN?
Definitely study. If I had to be completely honest, we didn't really prep as much as I wanted to, but like I said, I knew our ability individually was really good. But this time we're definitely got to do some more studying into the other teams. And it ultimately helped out because we did look into the EU, and we watched that as well. And it worked out because 60 ended up using that ladder spot. If you guys did see that, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Hey, study up, man. You got a lot of studying to do.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, I'm so glad you brought that up. I was gonna ask if he already knew that spot or if watching EU got that spot. Dude, that was so clutch, just learning that one move. That was wild.
Yeah. When I saw him do it, he was like, I'm in the good spot. I knew exactly where he was. Because at some point I was gonna use it, but he ended up beating me to it.
Yeah, you can just go make all the content.
Yeah, that was a crazy move. I mean, that's genius. Well, okay, I want to close this thing out, man. I want you to go celebrate with your team. Obviously, you've got a star-studded roster. All those guys, including yourself, competed in tournaments in the past, won money in tournaments in the past. The floor is yours. Shout out your teammates. Shout out people at home, where people can find you if you stream, all that good stuff. Want to give yourself plenty of flowers.
I appreciate that. So we do all stream. It's all of our names, but shout out to 60, obviously. 60, Jan. Those guys are dogs, man. They're so good. And I'm glad they brought me in. I was ultimately picked up to this team, and it all worked out. So like I said, we do all stream on Twitch. It's just our usernames in game. So thank you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. And big congrats again. Absolutely well earned. Final map was flawless. Very well done. And congrats, and go celebrate.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Cheers. All right, that's Articuno with AKA your champions for the North American region. Tiff, what a banger tournament. I can't stop saying it. Today, all of today, frankly, was fantastic. EU was awesome to watch. NA was awesome to watch. Razor thin margins there for second place, but AKA the team on top. Any final thoughts for the broadcast as we close out all of the Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers? All that's left is LAN in about a month's time.
It's so close yet so far away, and all of our teams have so much work to put in to make sure that they show out and prove that their region and their team is the best in the entire world. Also, my heart goes out to Grimmy, bro. SFC, man. So close like that, and to make a hero play and to not be able to make it happen. But let's be real. Things are getting serious, and you've got to get there.
Gotta get there. Things absolutely couldn't be more serious, but I had so much fun with you in the booth, as per the usual, Tiff. You absolutely crushed it, and I'm sure we'll see you in future Delta Force broadcasts. Thanks for popping in with me, casting all the action all day today. Appreciate it. Folks at home, it's just you and me again, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we could have had a better day. Delta Force Invitational Qualifiers, they lived up to the hype. I told you it was gonna be some of the best esports competitions we've seen thus far. And I think it lived up to that. Both competitions, razor thin margins, and a great day. We shipped 4 teams to LAN in about a month's time. And so you're gonna have to wait patiently with me while we wait on that LAN event. You might see some faces you recognize and some faces you certainly don't. So you've got 8 regions represented through 12 teams on LAN. It's gonna be a multi-day competition. It's gonna be insane. You're gonna wanna stay tuned to all socials to make sure you catch that event. But before I close out here, I need to remind you of a couple things happening in the Delta Force ecosystem. First and foremost, a lot of tournaments coming up down the line. This is the beginning of something special here with esports and Delta Force. So if you want to tap into some esports with Delta Force in the future, make sure you drop those follows. You know the deal. Join the Discord, all that good stuff. That way you can compete next time around and not be watching from the sidelines. But a big reminder about console. Delta Force, it's available on mobile, PC, and now console in less than 3 days time. The 19th, August 19th. Yeah, literally 3 days or less than that, especially if you're in EU. It's already 2 days right now, according to that math. You got to get your hands on console. Delta Force is going to be played everywhere on every platform you can think of now that it's being added to console, and of course controller support. But I love it. I had a lot of fun watching all of this content, all of these amazing competitors slay out and play for these LAN spots. But that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for tuning in. As per the usual, we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. Thanks for tuning in. See you on LAN in just about a month. Battle for the Ages here to start things off. Finally, a full team of 3 versus a team of 3. 1 week on the side of Ink.
Yeah. Yeah, those traps right there, but the swing.
The MandelBrick, though. This is for first to the MandelBrick. And with a knockdown, he knows if he shoots first, they can turn and kill him. Finds one that was already weak, finds the other, and even
Outwalking is going to make him be one of the first players there, but SFC is taking the same initiative.
At it, though. Somebody's going to make a run for it, and they're going to lose it. I don't think he hears the footsteps up above, and they lose it. SFC. That's right.
Black and yellow, though, shows on up in JTEH. The patience. The patience is trying to pay off, but it's Zomo. Last alive, looking for the final play. Constantly kind of starting that battle, right? We're at the bottom of the leaderboard through a couple.
If you want to get out of this map, you better make a move for it. Mengu has an angle for it. They should be able to do it. Through the smoke, though. A couple connects. They got hit markers. They know they're there. You're holding. They pick up a couple. AKA on the offside. They wanted to play spoiler. They're able to do it for a couple players. And a couple people get out. It is only 2 members of SFC. Grimmy in
detection for later.
10 seconds.
And now, just have to anchor down. You grab the knockdown to Zomo. You immediately go ahead and steal it. There it goes. Locked in. 3:30 on the clock.
Holy. The timer reset, but Mengu not done. They feel like they're hot, and they are, so they're going to push this.
They've answered the call. They heard the fight and equal. Sent straight a place hailing from the regional semifinals in Group A. And now Jake.
Your first team, they get the knock. 1 down. It's a 3v1. If they play this correctly, they play over. They don't even need the help. They find one. But Grimmy's comes in from behind. We knew he'd play sport.
You can take and win. Reminder here.
Here we go.
They came in fully kitted out with gold, but it doesn't even matter. He finds too easy. Grimmy looking for a clutch.
Through the smoke, finds the other. Does he win the 1v3? Grimmy! He is him! He is the hero! By Saniva. This spells bad news because get over here.
Stop! Through, it's going to start ticking. Once it connects, and look who's filtering through. January up and out.
2 minutes on the clock. As AKA have stolen it back, by the way. Member of SFC trying to play hero in a 1v3. This time, not going to make it out of dodge. Not this. Behind Mengu, welcome back to the party. Maybe at the bottom of the leaderboard, you're playing spoiler just
dwindling. And of course, it will be, I believe, at 1.5 minutes if they can play.
Time now, it's just about playing cleanup. Unbelievable sequence. Ink gets saved by the bell.
They did have some players alive when the MandelBrick was decoded. Loot. Do you play for the MandelBrick? Because you need a MandelBrick to even win it. And
leave it up to RNG. You're going to have to fight regardless. 60 MG in a decent spot. Maybe win. I don't care. 9 seconds left on this MandelBrick. No one's making a move for it. Mengu's late. You're too late, ladies and gentlemen. You're all dead, ladies and gentlemen. AKA wiping everybody. They just got to get on it when this timer hits 0. It's 3 seconds. You got to get there. 1 second.
As you set in Sunsight, our last sites here on to Space City, match number 6. We're pretty much done and done.